Good evening and welcome everybody to this, the World Poker Tour Main Event Final Table. And I'm very happy to say, well, I say very happy, I'm very sad to say that we have our main man Jeff Gross here to do commentary with him this evening. Because Jeff, you finished 33rd in this little beast last night.
Yeah, no, amazing event. I was actually thinking about it, just had crept in that maybe I would be missing tomorrow. I was getting kind of excited to be on the other side of it, but it wasn't meant to be. And you know, happy to be here and watch a very, very high level final table. Some huge names. I mean, just literally as tough as it gets. So this is going to be a treat to watch, and we'll see who gets to pull out almost $1 million to first. Just absolutely massive turnout, massive prize pool, and prestigious event. Trophies, WPTs. It's as good as it gets.
Well, yeah, like you said, we got that first prize in 959k. Everyone current guaranteed 76,000. They got 30 minutes per level to work their way through this, and it is Vlad Darie who, well, impressed me last night, Jeff, and I think for those watching last night, we're impressed. But we'll hopefully see some more of that tonight. As you see, he's leading the way here. But the man who made the very late surge last night, it took him 3 goes to do it, to eventually knock out Fabian Quast. Literally 2 double ups, then finished him off. DPT is coming in second. The bottom end of this table, they're a little shallow, Jeff. It went on a while last night.
Yeah, no, I think there's some separation down at the bottom. A couple guys got their work cut out, but overall, relatively, middle to deep stacked. I think the big stack there, Vlad has got a nice advantage, but even so, it's not it's not something with like 150 blinds or something crazy. So it's still wide open. Right. Anyone can win, and let's see who goes for it and who takes ICM more into consideration. It's always, for me, it's always fun. This is something that I have a hard time with, right? It's like, I always say to myself, you know what? Try not to ladder, really go for it, but then, you rip in 10s or ace queen suited and you're just out in 8th and it doesn't seem to work out. So, it's always fun to see who plays what style and for what reasons. And obviously a lot of that has to do with seat, stack size and situations, but it's always fun to watch the best play these kind of events.
Well, yeah, exactly that. We take a first look at the seats. Vlad sat down the bottom. DP is the man in second, a couple of seats to his right. You've got Philipp, one of the shortest stacks in the middle. So if he were to bust, it would definitely make things a little harder for Peters. But as we're saying, this is going to change around a lot. You see it's 400k, 800k, plenty of guys with 30 bigs. We know what change. And like you say, Jeff, ICM going to become a huge part of this. And yeah, you want to kind of play for the win and you want to go for the glory, but these payout jumps become huge later on. So laddering is just so important. As Volkmann going to win this one with a flush. Nice little start for him. And it worth noting out Vlad Darie as well for those yesterday I was mentioning, former WPT champion. If you do win this tournament today, you do become a WPT champion. Your name goes on the WPT Mike Sexton Champions Cup, which is a great honor, along with the nearly $1 million, Jeff. But it's a nice touch.
Yeah, no, it is nice. Nice to get the trophy, and again, good start here. We see Manuel go with, it looks like a flat pre-flop, I believe is what happened, and this is one of those hands that is just kind of, as we talk about ace queen, we joke about it, but it is one of those kind of middling ones. It's not kind of a disaster to get three bet, get 4-bet. You also, you are going to have some hands in bad shape where you're going to put people in some tough spots with queen king opening, an ace 5 opening, and get some value as well. So there's a lot of merit to just flatting, especially in this situation. We did see Philipp there in a really tough spot with king queen suited. He just got out of the way. Again, ICM can't really peel there, and jamming doesn't feel good either. Early position raise and a flat. So ultimately yeah, we see some big hands, interesting hand to start, but Bruno, the Brazilian, as I think yesterday, 3 of 11 or 8 of 11 were Austrian or Brazilian in the final 11. And as we touched on, German does make up some of that where they're living in Austria because of some laws and regulations. And in general, that's a common thing, I think, but pretty crazy that 8 of 11 were from Brazil or Austria. So very strong showing for those countries.
Absolutely wild. That those countries are massively overreducing at the moment. Manuel Fritz, well, I'm going to pop this up. But Jeff, 9 left in a tournament. We're not going to see too much craziness here from Rodrigo. I mean, early on the tournament, might see jams and stuff here, trying to put pressure on. But I imagine we're just going to see calls, and everyone play relatively cautiously to start with. As well, I mean, 8th doesn't get 100k, but it's just under. 9th gets 76. The payouts are ridiculous. I mean, heads-up matches worth 300 grand alone, Jeff. It's going to be mighty interesting.
Ooh. Wow. Ooh. Quite a flop.
Yeah. Fritz, gut shot, backdoor club even. As well as his 2-8s. Rodrigo with the set and comes out firing. All right, Jeff, we like this kind of ball texture that definitely favors the big blind. And look at this. He's going to balance us up with getting to fire some bluffs and throw his bottom set in there as well. Yeah,
it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think about this? I like it. Obviously, it's this particular hand. He's got his opponent in trouble. He also, against the hands that may float. I just wonder if it would serve better as a check raise. But again, these guys know what they're doing, and they do have their frequencies and balance, and also probably have a lot of history. They play together deep in this tournament, probably other tournaments. I think these guys are familiar. It's another name that I recognize. Rodrigo getting deep a lot, and they have their reasons. But kind of a card that maybe this isn't the bottom percentile of cards for Rodrigo.
Right.
But he's going to come out leading again.
I really like the lead on the flop because we know Fritz is going to check back so often on this 9-7-5, but leading here, we get to do his bluffs and throw it in here with a pretty good candidate to do it with, unblocking the 9, unblocking the 7, unblocking all the straight and flush draws as well. But like you say, the ace of clubs, not high on the list, but it's conceivable Fritz has perhaps peeled the flop with what hand, like ace king, ace queen with a club. It could well have improved. So look at this, gets paid off the second street, improves to a boat, and well, one assumes Fritz is gonna give up here, Jeff. I mean, you want your opponent, I guess, to have some hands like 8-10. I guess Jack 10 plausible with the club, but I mean, this doesn't seem the best spot to be calling it again. All depends what size Rodrigo goes, I guess. But
yeah, I mean, you do have the 2-8s, right? Which takes away the majority of the best bluffs.
Right.
So yeah, that's his. He goes for the mother load too. Goes for all of it, and tough spot. I think you can't blame Fritz for peeling there on the turn either.
Yeah, it'd have been an interesting spot. Fritz gets there with a non-premium flush, shall we say? If he had like 10-9 of clubs and faced that same line, and you're like, well, Rodrigo's repping a flush or better here on the river, but also does get to have some bluffs, of course. All right, 2 guys have got your hand, Jeff. We've got ace queen versus ace queen. Joao Simao's going to rip this in. I assume Volkmann's just going to call when it gets around 10 and going to get involved, and maybe we'll see ace queen get a chop, which is all it deserves.
Yeah, it looks like that's a likely scenario. Very impressive. I got to shout out my man here, Simao, who, interestingly enough, we played the 109 phase. So this is one of the things we talk about, phase tournaments on Party Poker in general, satellites, right? They're very high value, but we actually were in the same flight on, I think this was like a month ago at the very start of the series when they were running the phases, and we were both in the same 109, and I think 3 players made it through. We both made it through. Then we played the 530 mega. All right, they are gonna chop it up. No 4 flush going on, but so we made it through in the 530, and then we were, he made it all the way. So he's in right now. It's a pretty sick story for, as you mentioned, almost. Right. I mean, it's going to be a 100k score roughly, or 76k. I'm sorry, 97k. No, you're 9-handed. 76k from 100 minimum and up to $1 million. Be a pretty sick spin, yeah.
That's pretty nice. So, yeah, we were discussing yesterday, obviously, if there are any satellite qualifiers in. We were trying to find out. Obviously, there you go. Joao Simao in for 109. Although we know Joao would, of course, be playing regardless. But it's still, it just shows what's possible, Jeff. In for 109. and in with a shot.
Yeah.
Guys, welcome everyone in the chat. It's been a fast start here. I see you guys filling up. Thanks for joining us this evening. Hello to everyone who was with us last night. It was a long one. We always knew it would be. With day 2, we had to whittle it down to our final 9. Always going to take some time. So credit to those of you who stuck it out until the death. Yeah, TikTok in the chat saying, look at that, Rok Gostisa folding ace-jack under the gun. But Jeff, he's got 30 bigs. There's loads of 30 big stacks. There's 2 10 big blind stacks. There's a full table. Don't need to get involved, do you, with ace-jack offsuit in the spot?
Yeah, I just was looking at that as well. It's also maybe a bit of a function of who in the stacks are on like the button. You know, Vlad and Rodrigo with very healthy stacks in position that he figures he may be getting some difficult, just like a hand like this, King 5 suited, collect a 3-bet flat and gonna be putting him in some uncomfortable spots. Plus, I mean, again, distribution, seat, there are going to just be better hands dealt there as well. So actually, I like the flat, and I think probably ace-jack suited, he would go for the open right, maybe ace-jack, ace-10 suited, ace-jack off, kind of the cutoff for him. Maybe, you know, he's going to open king-queen suited, I imagine, but you know, it's right on the cusp, and it's also something about getting acclimated. It's a new table, everyone feels each other out. You want to come in, winning hands, be strong, and you know, look at that, nice re-raise there.
Yeah, I'm about to say on the flip of all that, Bruno Volkmann goes the other way and just takes advantage of the fact that Vlad's going to be opening very wide and tries to get one through. And obviously, guess a factor, they were all playing together yesterday, and we know Vlad's very aggressive. Anyone watching last night will know that. And Bruno saying, you know, I'm gonna take a little shot here. Risky. I mean, it's Vlad's got a lot of incentive to 4-bet jam there. I'm not saying he's going to do it all the time, but he does get to be light because it's really hard for Bruno to have that many hands that want a 3-bet caller off. There are some hands he might just 3-bet jam because he wants to dissuade that sort of stuff. If he's got dealt 2 9s there with 25 blinds, or 2 10s, or 2 jacks, he's probably just going to rip it in. It's like there's very few hands. Same with ace king, ace queen. It's really only the absolute premiums that he's going to want to 3-bet induce, given the final table situation. So something to keep an eye on if Bruno goes for that again, Jeff, because that'll be basically, I guess, implying he thinks Vlad won't take advantage of that. So keep an eye on it. For sure.
I mean, Vlad does have a significant lead too. I think Vlad, obviously, very, very strong player, aggressive. But these are things that, you know, I think that it's important to note if you're watching, that just because you have the big stack, you know, he's not looking to take a flip, right? He's just going to pick up so many open pots. He's just going to be able to, you know, his stack is worth so much, and you know, he's not looking to get in even jacks to ace king or something right now. He just wants to win a lot of pots and you know, let the chips, the blinds go up and have people become kind of in trouble, because this is one of those things where we really can see some guys get short, and you get to see the big stacks just gobble chips and put a lot of pressure on. So very interesting dynamic. We'll see how it plays out.
Ooh, wow, Rok 3-bet ripping over DPs is open for nearly 30.
Jeez.
This is spicy. Wow.
I was telling you about this guy yesterday. I know the least about this guy, but I see his name the most.
Oh, really?
I think you said you might have said his name the most on streams, but I'm saying, like, I've never met him. I've never seen him live. You know, but like in the last, let's call it the COVID pandemic, I feel like in the last 2 years, he's just like every big buy-in, every major event. I feel like he's final table, top 2 tables. The guy is super impressive. And he folds ace-jack off for one open, but he'll put his whole tournament on the line with king-queen suited under an under-the-gun raise with king-queen suited. I mean, that's a fascinating shove. I mean, pretty strong there. And look at Peter's folded 10s. Makes you wonder, what's he calling?
Right. I mean, this is it. Rok's really put it on, and there you go. ICM in point. This is why these players are kind of nice, because if this was early in the tournament, DP is opening up 10s. He's not folding for someone jamming 30 bigs. He's going to cycle it off. In this, he can't afford to. He just lets it go. But yeah, Rok is exactly you say. I don't think I'd heard of Rok before these COVID times, but we had the High Roller Club last summer. That kind of got us going with these streams online, where we had it was a 5k, a 10k, and a 25k each week. Ran for like 6 or 7 weeks, and he was the one who won the overall leaderboard in that. He was just so impressive. And has continued to be so. ballsy play. And yeah, Jeff, like you say, to who was it in the chat? Yeah, TikTok saying, questioning the ace jack fold from under the gun. Well, there you go. That's the other end of the shoe. And the king queen suited, rip it in from the small. Vlad and Talal having a little skirmish. Talal going to win this one. Guys, free roll again this evening as always, and well, just like last night, no tickets to be given out, just $500 in pure cash. So please do head on over to Party WPT WOC free roll. $500 in there. The password is 5 millions guaranteed. And, well, Jeff, I got a cash last night. Not bragging or anything, but got the old 27 cents back from that bad boy. It's doable.
Nice. There you go. There you go. Running, start somewhere. So that's interesting. I gotta say, this is one of the more enjoyable series. Like these main events, the 5K, the 1Ks, the 2Ks every week. This has been an unbelievable series from Party Poker, and the play, the satellites, all of it. I'm impressed. Like the turnouts are great. I hope this is. I don't know if the next one. There's a deep stacks, I believe, next week, right? But I don't know if they've announced the next WPT series. But it seems like. The turnouts are just really, really, really great. So hopefully it'll be soon. Do you have any word on that, James? Do you know when the next one might be?
I just know about the for WPTs about the deep stacks up to now. But yeah, I'll be expecting there'll be something else this year. I guess it's hard with the World Series coming up, and then a lot of people aren't going to the World Series because travel. So who knows? It'll be. I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. As Philipp's going to try and get one through from under the gun here with Ace 10 of diamonds.
This is super weird too, right? Because it's like an auto call, except there's the ICM and he's under the gun off that stack. He's got to be opening so tight, and that would actually be, it's one of the worst case scenarios, right? A hand like that where you're dominated. He's man, really really tough. Are you surprised at the fold, or do you think it's just too dicey, right? You're just gonna get too many boards where you hit a draw or a piece and you're in trouble.
I'm very surprised. It's like. You like to reference, don't you, the old risk premium, but Fritz does have to. I mean, what is he, third shortest now? By folding, he's tied second shortest. I think we can look at a flop there and go from there. There's a lot of value in taking chips off Philipp as well. But then on the flip, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, what shape is Jack 10 going to be in against this under the gun raise from the player who really doesn't want to be getting out of line? So I can see both arguments.
Yeah, that's a cool one. I think that's interesting to look at and check, because I think you could go either way, but probably the correct play, especially ICM wise, would be to fold. Although it does hurt to muck for a min raise Jack 10 suited, especially when you are shorter too, right? We do mention that risk premium, and yeah, I think you could go either way. You know what David's going to do here? He is going to apply pressure. He's got A7 on the button, and these two stacks in particular. Yeah.
This has just got to be a par with Joao on such a short stack. These guys can rejam, so you want to take that out of their arsenal, and they just have to fold quite a lot of hands here with Joao so short. And double up doesn't make a huge difference, then, does it?
No, and for this is again, it's like you may look at this and say, oh, it's A7 off shoving, and these guys have this many blinds, and okay, that makes sense. But what's really interesting is to take that hand and then talk to people, run it, do some calculations, and understand what hands you should be shoving. Is it ace deuce off? Is it any two? Is it jack 10 off? Is it pocket threes? You should. And what hands are you? Is he going to maybe min raise fold, right? Then he's going to min raise obviously some of his aces, kings, his absolute blades, but then he's not just going to shove 2-3 off in a spot like that. So that's the type of stuff where if you are finding some tricky spots, it's like, look deeper into it, not just that particular A7, but what is the right play, what is the suggested play, and why are players doing that with these particular hands in these spots. And again, it's very different if there's Vlad in the big blind versus the chip leader versus the two of the three shortest. So very interesting. And David Petersman, just like you said, he just came out of nowhere. Like, this is not a guy you want with chips. Yeah. He was short, and just like that, it was like double. And Fabian Quash, shout out to my man right there. That guy crushers, won high rollers, won a ton of stuff. I haven't heard his name playing poker in a while, and then sure enough, he just pops into a 5K main, and he was like, 2 or 3 or 4 of 14, and just went for it and ran into a couple of monster hands and was out in a second. But really impressive run from him again. And
he was having a lot of fun because he was on the other table to Vlad, and he had sort of 30-ish million on the final table bubble. The rest were all sort of 20 bigs in below, and it's just a dream scenario. And unfortunately for him, it was that aggression just kind of backfired. He ran into it. He jammed like Jack 3 from the small, I think, when DP just said Queen 10 with just under 10 blinds left. He decided to call, wins that one. Then he open jams 4s, and DP just finds Jacks, calls, and wins. And then I can't actually remember how he finished him off. That was right with DP just opened Queen 9 with the 9 of clubs and just ripped the 8 high 3 club board, and Fabian had paired the 8 and club came, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, off you go. Second in chips.
That's sort of. Yes, that was sort of the same situation almost with the defend 7-8 suited, like defend Jack 10 suited when you're short. You flop top pair, you kind of have to go with it, and you could be dominated, you could be behind, or still have to fade a lot. That's sort of the tricky part of it. And I mean, again, tournaments are crazy, right? You can go from 3 of 50 to out in 45, and it happens, and it does feel bad, but it's just part of it, especially if you're playing correctly, right? If you're going for it, you're making moves, putting pressure on. This is how you win tournaments, and this is also how you leave tournaments. So it's why it's so fun, right? Everyone's got a style. That's everyone's playing a little bit different, and that's what makes it great.
So, Sir CPB says, how do I use the password? You head on over to Party Poker. You go in that little search bar, search for tournaments. That's the easy way of finding it. It's called the WPT WOC free roll. And you click register. Type the password in, and then you win the free roll. Simple as that. Aces for Philip.
Aces on the puck. This is a dream spot. Awkward stack. I think really, two options, right? You can shove or fold. They don't really have like a 3-bet, bluff here probably. So this is a tough spot though to decide what to do. I think he's fairly short, right? I mean, this is David's definitely alarm bell is going to go off when he gets flatted here.
I like this, but I know a lot of the conventional wisdom these days would say you don't do this, Jeff. Do you? Just because even though you've got aces, you've still got to be careful with ICM. Well, we've got ace 6-6. He's doing all right here, but argument being, you just jam there. You can still get called by plenty of hands, but you then just don't get stacked by so many hands that may end up stacking you down the streets if you had jam. So I get it. But I personally like this play, Jeff. It was just throw out some trap. Try and get paid. We got $1 million up top after all. Yeah,
that's a good flop. But, at this point, at least you feel comfortable with your decision. You know that you're pretty safe, and it's more fun, right? It's fun to check top house back on the flop. So let's see if David decides to do anything. Now, at the same time, like as kind of, it's interesting because if you're Peters from this perspective, like you do think there could be some traps, but probably queens he's jamming, right? Tens he's jamming, and then it becomes like, what hands is he flatting off that stack size?
Yeah, It's going to be some of those. We assume he's jamming ace king, probably jamming ace queens. You're thinking, right? You can still have like ace jack suited, ace 10 suited, some of those Broadway suited combos perhaps. So this board not great for D Peters. He's maybe you want to try and make a hand like King Jack fold on the flop, but once he's checked through and Jack rolls off, nothing can be done, and still win.
But look how good he is. David just checking it 3 times. I mean, really, the only thing that could happen there for Philip was it would be interesting if a 4 rolled off on the river or on the turn. If David would even find a way to not go broke. I mean, I guess Philip would have. Let's just say the turn was a 4. Let's say this river's a 4. What David would check? Do you think he would just check rip, or would he just call?
I think he would be putting all the chips in. Yeah, I mean, you're only worried about one hand, aren't you? Aces, and it's going to jam decent percentage pre, but nonetheless, he's going to get away. You really
can just tell how in tune he is. You can tell how in tune he is because David just he could also on the turn elect to with the check back to try to blast him off if maybe he is trapped. But I think that's the thing. What is he? What hands is he flatting? That's the problem.
Well, that's it. I think the jack is really as hurt Philipp there. I think if the turn wasn't a jack, you may have seen David Peters put out like a really small bet just to try and deny equity to a hand like king, queen, king, jack, queen, jack suited. All these are possible to peel in that spot. So with jack really a little bit of a killer from that point of view. Talal, all right, blinds going up, 501 mil. He's popping it up from under the gun. Now here's a man, Jeff, who is probably a little bit more willing to go for some glory. We were discussing it last night. He's probably more motivated by just doing what's right and, you know, playing a strategy game. And this is the conversation we had last night. But on the flip of that, he's also one who's he's probably not going to lose too much sleep if this one doesn't go the right way in terms of the money, right?
Yeah, he's a European carry cats. Like these guys, they love it. They love the competition. They crush the game, and they're financially, you know, nothing's going to bother them much on a daily if it doesn't work out for him. So yeah, Talal, and he's also won some majors online, plays the highest stakes, absolute crusher by the businessman first. And look at this cooler for our friend, man, David Peters wakes up right place, right time, gets a big pair over pair, and for that 6 blinds, Joao Simao is feeling pretty good about 2 jacks, but he's not going to like to see this.
Yeah, this is cruel. And bar a jack, which doesn't materialize, Joao Simao is the first to depart this final table, picking up 76k. And as Jeff says, in from a 109 phase. So not a bad return, but pretty cruel there. At least couldn't do anything about that one. It was a straightforward jam, and you just run into it sometimes.
Yeah. Nice showing. He has also won a bracelet recently online, and definitely one of the original OGs, played forever. He's a member of Team Party. Great showing to make the final table, and very nice score. Best future stops, and yeah, impressive run there. 1,200 plus to get 8th, again off that 109 ticket, which he would have entered anyway. But yeah, great score. Yeah. Nice plan.
Yeah, obviously one of Makita 50th, yourself 33rd. Decent showing from the team pros, trying to get up there, trying to get the big score. Didn't quite happen, but you enter this tournament, 1,000 players, you're okay with 9th. It's a decent return.
Yeah.
As they play 8-handed. Vlad still out in front, but D Peters is collecting chips. Now, will Philipp try and sneak something through here with ace-9 suited? Tried ace-10 suited from under the gun 9-handed. This a little different situation. There we go, does let it go.
Vlad is he's gotten, I mean, I don't want to say a slow start. I think he's chipped down a little bit. He hasn't quite got the, you know, as a chip leader, you kind of want to ease in and find your way to just sort of get control of the table. So far, David's been chipping up more, and, you know, Bruno played back early with a spot he didn't have to, and you know, it's a momentum thing, right? When you just win, take down the blinds, you know, people call you, play post flop, pick up a couple flop pots. It's nice, but when you start getting played back at and things don't go your way early, you know, it can. There's no guarantees, right? I mean, as chip leader, things can happen fast, and there's basically 2 ways it's going to go at the final table: smooth, or there's going to be some adversity and be rocky. And look at this, David gonna defend the 10-8 off, going to battle with the 2 biggest stacks, going to go to a flop here. Pretty good spot for Vlad in a 10-3-3 and a light defend from David.
Yeah, I mean, I'm completely on board with the defend. Like I say, they're over 40 bigs deep. He can play some flops. He's getting great price, but things like this will make it look quite poor. The 10-3-3 is going to spell a bit of trouble for David Peters on a board where we obviously know Vlad's going to continue 100%. It continues very small for that reason. It's called, and well, the ace, obviously, I guess actually the ace is pretty balanced here, right, Jeff? I mean, David Peters is calling with all his ace-x pre, he's calling with all on the flop. Vlad probably raising with nearly all his ace-x, just given the situation of the final. Does check through. There we go. Now, I mean,
this is a very important pot. I mean, if David were to somehow bet even small and win, he would take the chip lead. Right now, if he were to somehow be good, he would be essentially almost tied. But yeah, I mean, this is likely just Vlad's going to be happy to win this pot at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's got to go for a small bit of value, try and get some 10x to pay him off, maybe some smaller pocket pairs. Might get curious. Oh, it's gone relatively big and does get paid. There we go. Nice pickup for Vlad. And Well, just as you put the curse on him, Jeff. You said DPT was chipping up and Vlad had chipped down a little bit. All the chips, all the profit moves over to the chip daddy for now.
What was the bet size? It snapped in real quick. I didn't see how much you bet. It was like 5 million?
Around 5.9, I think it was. Yeah. So a healthy, but which makes sense, right? You're trying to make a hand like 8, 7, 6s fold, I guess. Maybe trying to put pressure on a 10. So bigger sizing, I guess, does make a little bit of sense. There aren't too many non-pair hands Dave Peter still has by that point, is there? On the 10-3-3, I guess. Maybe some hands like King Queen with a backdoor flush draw or something, but
yeah, it's a nice bet. It's a very nice bet. I mean, that's a spot where I think you could easily find a check back too. Maybe it just makes sense and you should bet, but it is scary, right? Because if you are putting the chip lead on the line there, somehow David just called you with a weak ace on the flop and then would check down the river. So that is a very nice value bet from Vlad. I don't think that's mandatory, and I don't think everyone goes for that. I personally, I don't know. You would bet there, James?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're very unlikely to be behind. Sure, there'll be some ace-x at the size to check, and maybe even some 3x at the size to check raise, but I don't think you're going to mess around with too much, given it's a fun on table situation. And there's all that 10x, and like I said, those pocket pairs still pay you off, so reasonable. Again, one of those spots, Jeff, I think if you switch the stacks around, I think the check back gains more credence, because you don't want to be put in a really tough spot. But as the chip leader, I think you just get to value bet much more freely, don't you? You're not going to be check ripped on, for example.
Right.
Talal. His go with queens. Queens are doing the business so far tonight. Jeff, maybe they're the hand of the day, perhaps. Yeah,
pretty good flop for queens, and ace-6 suited again. Sort of, he's short-ish. There's only one stack shorter. Does take a defend here. Going to get put in a lot of tough spots, even if he does flop an ace. But as it stands, not much here that he can do. He's just gonna have to check fold, I assume. Yeah.
Right, it's tempting, isn't it, with ace-6 of clubs on this particular board, but so short with just 15 million behind. Really hard to continue. We may see him continue for one, I guess, Jeff. But no, okay, he doesn't. I think if it wasn't, again, a final table situation, you might see him continue for one bet there. But with Fritz shorter and this being a final table, does give it up. Guys, we'll be kicking off the Sport Buff questions soon. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, there'll be the questions that pop up on screen, multiple choice. If you get them right, you go into a draw, chance to win some lovely tickets. But to be able to track your answers, I need you guys to reach into the top right hand corner of the screen, find the little Sport Buff widget, and click the Start Now button, I believe it says, so we can track your answers. Otherwise, we can't tell who's getting them right. If you've done it before, don't worry, you're all good. But if you are new, please do that. There'll be some simple questions. Get them right, win some tickets. Easy as that. And who knows what you could spin it into. As Jeff was alluding to, Joao with a little 109 into 76k. And actually, I was just looking, Jeff. There were a couple of guys in from Cent Rolls who got in the money. Yaroslav Borgev finished 39th for 23.5k, and Nikolai Garbanov came 99th for 13,200. So that's from a cent. Jeff, that's some punchy spin.
That's strong. No, that's ROI. Yeah, that's a whole different kind of ROI. Very nice. Holy shit, that's great.
There you go. And first spot buff question coming at you boys now. Let's get on it. Get winning those tickets. You've got to give them away. Vlad in the small 9-5 offsuit. As the chip leader, Jeff, I guess he gets to raise a lot here. Here we go. He does. And even with a hand like this, like Rodrigo can't really do anything but call, right?
Yeah, it's cagey. It's tough, right? This is it's such a pretty hand, though. I mean, you do feel pretty comfortable just being able to play post flop with that nice of a hand. It's a little like an ace-9 or an ace-8 off, or even ace, whatever, ace-5 suited. It's tricky, but this feels good to call, I think. Safe enough. At least, right? I don't know. Maybe he's thinking, that.
Wow,
that's another way.
Right. I guess there's something to this as well, right? I mean, it's 30 million. He knows Vlad. It's not like Vlad's got 100 million, right? If Vlad calls there, then and now he's down to 30 million. He's right in the pack. It's not a position Vlad's going to call too lightly, but it's still a bit brave because I think Vlad's not going to fold nines there, is he? I don't know. It seems a little.
The lesson I'm seeing is, it's funny because it's really interesting when you start thinking about ICM. You start like, oh, you need to be tight. Maybe it would be implied you just call, but it's almost like, well, ICM means if you're first in and you're aggressive, like
right.
how good a hand you need to have to call, that there's actually being that, it's sort of like sit and goes and stuff too, where you just get to rip and it's like no one wants to call for a satellite. It's just like it's so important to be in. So it's like you actually get put in the cage a lot more easily if you just let someone kind of rip on you. So very interesting. And here again, Bruno, we saw what he does with worse 2-10s. Yeah,
this is a much easier rip, I think, against button for Bruno with the 2-10s. Going to play the hand out of position if we were to do anything else. So ripping for 24 seems pretty standard.
Vlad, I think Vlad's going to want a redraw on the seats. He's got these guys going nuts on him, just ripping on him every open. He's got to be like, what the heck? I actually have good hands here. This is like a pretty high up in his range on the button open.
It's like, do you guys not know the rules here? I'm the chip leader. I'm raising. There's some short stacks knocking around here. You're not supposed to be ripping me, guys. Come on. Show a little respect.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, sure.
It feels like you're not really the chip leader if they're doing this to you, Jeff. It's like, hang on a second. The book says I get to have a lot of fun. Here we go.
Yeah.
And
there's
maybe a
suited ace for Rok under the gun. Rok, folding. Same thing. We lose a player, but it's just he's not quite in a position to start opening into the stacks. I mean, it's actually pretty even, right? The middle here, we got like four guys, actually 5 guys, really really tight in stacks.
Yeah, just what. 8 blinds separating 5 of them, and they're all set in a row as well. So then the 2 short stacks to the right of Vlad, and DPTs are like this. You can kind of open up a little bit wider. You just cover all the rest of those guys, and okay, you got Rodrigo on the button with some chips here, and Vlad, but he gets to play a little, and especially when Vlad's just raised folded 2 hands in a row. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit old school thinking, Jeff, but back in the day, the guy who's just raised folded 2 in a row is probably not going to get out of line the next hand. It's like, he needs to take a minute here. Peters does just get one through. Lovely little spot for him. This looks a little interesting for late position players. Assuming we're going to see it fold around. Fritz can't really do anything with this ace 8 from too early, but Rodrigo Queen Jack suited, Bruno ace 10 suited, Rok King Jack. I'm guessing we're going to see a raise from Rodrigo, a flat from Bruno. And then Rok will probably come along, but won't be too thrilled about playing 3-way out of position with King Jack offsuit. If this went raise flat, I almost would wonder if King Jack off is just a fold here. You're just dominated so much. Yeah, this is it, right? I mean, you can be. I mean, you can. The only thing with King Jack, you can be dominating yourself, right? You can be up against hands like Queen Jack and stuff, but it's not a particularly nice spot. I do wonder if there's any avenue for Rok just to even turn it into a rip, but I mean, Bruno's going to have a few traps, I guess, but most parts going to 3-bet his good hands. But then again, I suppose he's just going to be flatting hands like 9s and 10s, isn't he? So you don't really want to be ripping into that potential range. Wow, I'm very curious here what he does. I don't think he'll call. Look at that. There we go. We're less than all in. There we go. I love it. I love that, Jeff. Really putting pressure on them. Looks super strong too. It's actually a little less than like kind of the 4x or 4.5, 5x from this spot, and this is very cagey. Yeah, like I say, I think Bruno gets to have enough strong hands here that perhaps he can just give up on this ace-10 suited. Like I say, I think he flats 8s, 9s, 10s when Rodrigo opens there because getting it in such a disaster. But now when Rok squeezes, maybe it's a little easier. So does get to give up the ace-10 suited. It's not like he's calling there with all sorts of garbage, is it? He's got a pretty tight range when he flats. So Rok's 3-bet does get a lot of credit, and I like Rok's hand selection, the King Jack blocking some of those traps, perhaps sounds like kings and even jacks. and whatnot. So what? I mean, just so far, Jeff, well played from everyone. I think that's what we can take away from this. There's been some interesting situations crop up, and the players have tackled them very well so far.
Yeah, I took that beat. I got knocked out 33rd. You know, listen, hands happen, beats happen. It was one of the worst probably equity beats personally for me, especially while I was streaming. I got kings to nines for 3 of 33, all in pre. But I looked at the field and I was like, wow, this is like there's some really tough players left, and you know, it's there's a lot of meat on the bone. There's world class here. You know.
Who was it against, Jeff? Are they still in?
No, Steven Van Zadelhofer.
Okay.
Yeah. He got 12th or 13th, I believe. So. Yeah, I didn't see what happened, but he had a lot. I mean, he was in first or second after that pot, so I don't know. Not sure what happened. I didn't get to see much of his tournament.
No, we didn't see him much at all. Actually, he started the day second in chips and kind of. Just seemed to be keeping hold of them fairly well. Obviously, still a tough ask to get yourself down to that final table, as we saw last night. Even Fabian Kors second in chips with 10 left, finished 10th. That's what can happen. It's a tournament after all. It moves quickly. Rok, having a little stab here from the small. Was this a missed action pre-flop? I'm guessing there was a 3x involved, given the pot size. Let's see, if he has it open, then obviously it's completely reasonable to fire on this board, get called, think you're kind of done with it.
Yeah, he probably has some intentions on a spade to have continued on the turn as well. I mean, this card right here is I'm a little surprised to it, because I mean, man, I'll tell you what, Rok is really playing at David Peters. I'll tell you that right now. He ripped king queen suited on his under the gun raise. This is savage, man. Rok is playing into the guy. I wouldn't be messing with this guy in particular.
Well, I mean, okay, D Peters doesn't have as many ace-x because some of those are going to be 3-bets pre-flop. We know that. He also doesn't have aces, kings, or queens. But he's called the flop, and he has quite a few queen x when he calls the flop. He still has some ace-x, of course, and some king x. And Rok really trying to put the pressure on him, and well, now a weird scenario where aces and queens with a king on the board. If you're up against a pocket pair, maybe that's stuck around seems unlikely, but some of those low spades you now kind of tie with, and you can perhaps easily make fold. And maybe he's got to give it up now. D Pete's is going to win this one, but it's a courageous bluff on the turn, Jeff. But I guess a cheap one. 4 into 12 it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the run out. There's probably some other cards that other stuff happens. The King 9 David, I mean, very important pot there. He just hangs in, and look at that. He's up to 46 million, and man, Rok. So that's fun to watch. It's fun to watch some of these spots. It really is really interesting what's going on. But David Peters just, again, not a guy. It's just not easy to run him over. He just seems to make the right decision, whether it's checking, betting, calling. He really does play well, and going for him.
Yeah. All right, Rok going to put some pressure on Vlad again. Poor Vlad, chip leader, and they're they're having none of it.
Yeah, like I said, this is like, I honestly had all, like, he cruised the final two tables, built a stack, was just in control. And here, it's just like every spot he's gotten messed with. And honestly, again, not mandatory ones, right? Like easily he could have, in some scenarios, he's probably just going to be winning every pot. And here he's been, I mean, other than a few like the 10s where, obviously Bruno woke up, but there's been 3 or 4 that have been, questionable spots where people didn't have to take.
There's been the ace-9 offsuit 3-bet from Bruno, that one there, the king-queen from Rok. It's certainly a spot he could pass on. And we've seen the ace-10 suited from Rigo, just decided to rip it in instead of risking seeing a flop against Vlad. Yeah, there's 3 instances right there. So Rodrigo pops this up at ace-10. D Pete's going to lay down the law from the button. It's a fun one already, guys. Only just begun.
Yeah, it's me. I will say this: David's he's been in there and made some good decisions post flop. He's also got queens to jacks. He's gotten a few big hands in good spots here as well. He's been on, also he had the jacks to 4s, right, for a huge double against Fabian in a spot where Fabian got really unlucky because really the only guy that could actually hurt him at that shove was for David to wake up with a hand. A lot has to go wrong there. David has to have a calling hand, and then he actually has to win, right? Even against, it's 4-1. You don't automatically lose the pot, but yeah, this has gone well for David so far at this final table. He's gotten some timely hands. The guy doesn't need a lot of help, but he's been given a couple good spots in the last 24 hours.
All right,
he's
guys.
Got 50 million.
My table has just opened up in the free roll, so that means it is time to do battle. If you want to get involved, please do head on over to Party. Password is 5 millions guaranteed. It kicks off in exactly 3 minutes, but there's plenty of time for later edge. If you guys get yourself organized, get over there. We're giving out $500 in cold hard currency. That's all you need. A little bit of cash, Jeff.
Yeah, it starts. Free rolls are nice. It's nice to not have to risk something. I think that's one of the cool things about our generation. There are a fair amount of $50, $100, $200 spin ups or free rolls. Where from 04, 05. When did you start, James? Was it 2003 or 4? Was your first years?
Yeah, 2002, 2003, something like that. Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of free rolls back then, Jeff. There was a lot of money getting thrown around. Not quite too easy anymore, but we're trying here. We're giving it away.
Yeah, look at this. Philip thinking, but don't think take it.
Yeah, especially I think with position on Fritz as well. I think he gets to see what Fritz does all the time first. I'd be inclined to pass up all these, not premium restill spots, that's for sure. 11.5 blinds. And you got to give Peters some credit for opening there because Vlad's in the big blind. And we know Vlad's going to play back a lot. So it's not like Peters is opening absolute nonsense. Like if Vlad was another 15 big blind stack, it'd be different. But we know he's got to have some sort of hand. And, he's going to go for it again. He's 9 suited. And, should get it through again, looking at the hands behind. Unless Vlad decided to get really out of line. Which I can't rule out, Jeff, having watched yesterday. The man's he's got a switch. It can get flicked from time to time.
Yeah, now Manuel would have been able to have a nice shove for 7.5 as the shortest if it had folded to him. But now, he's got no fold equity, King 9 suited. So, this is, it looks like this one likely going to be picked up. But as you said, Vlad, you never know. It's 50 plus blinds. Just like that. Literally him and David are tied for the chip lead. Does David Peters have a WPT? I don't believe so. I know he won the bracelet online not long ago. I don't know if he has a WPT. He's got a lot of accolades, that's for sure, but I don't believe he's won a WPT. Yeah. And just like that, he officially the chip leader.
Yeah, he has never won one by the looks of it. He's got a second in something at the Trine Super High Roller Series WPT. I don't know what that one was, but $2.3 million. So, with Federal, I guess it was a high roller side event, but I think his best, fourth in a high roller. I think his best finish in a WPT main was WPT Montreal, 6th place. So kind of surprising, really, to me that we've not seen him atop one of these events before. Yeah.
Wow to that, and wow to this fold. Look at this fold from Manuel with the 7 blinds and 8s as the shortest stack against Talal under the gun raise here. So that is that's a head scratcher, but I guess it's under the gun. It's under the gun. But 7 blinds, 8s when you're basically 1.5 times shorter than the next. I don't know.
Talal's not supposed to be opening pretty much anything, is he? With Fritz so short and Philipp so short behind, you kind of just want to stay out the way until something goes down there. So I can understand why Fritz has folded, but perhaps we saw Talal open 7-8 suited under the gun a couple of orbits back as well. He's probably one that maybe is opening too wide in these spots. So if there was an adjustment to make, it may be to take advantage of that. But Fritz may not know that and may just be giving him the kind of ranges you might expect there. In which case, obviously completely reasonable to fold. Philipp, though, will not be folding these 2 jacks. And D Peters is open with 6-5 suited may save the Philipp Talal clash here, because had he folded, this would have been a shove and a call and a flip. But there we go. Talal now gives up ace queen suited, and Philipp picks up without any dramas.
Wow. Where's the rabbit cam? We don't. That's a functionality feature on Party, but not on here on the replay. We can't see that. It would be interesting. That definitely saved him a flip. But yeah, it's one of those spots. He's going to sign to pick up the uncontested chips, but he also had a chance to double up, right, to like 24, 25 million.
Yeah,
but I think he'll take that every day of the week. Then, yeah, it's a good result for him.
Yeah.
Look at this again. Vlad's going to open, and he's going to get some resistance once more. I mean, this is honestly, out of all the final table chip leaders, I don't think I've ever seen someone get played back as much. And he's not like super out of line. He's opening like queen 10 suited, you know.
Yeah. He's been reasonable.
Frustrating.
But I don't think he hasn't won a pot. He hasn't. Literally every time he opens, they mess with him. Again.
Yeah, and Rok.
Right. I mean, imagine. I think Rok's going to go for a smaller bet here again, because this is what he did before, quite the small 3-bet. It's lovely now to find the aces to do it with. Again, makes it a very attractive sizing. But, well, again, Vlad's hand here may just be a little too weak, Jeff, against this stack size as well. But it's got to be tempting. There's a point where you start to question things.
Yeah, it's a pretty affordable price, but at the same time, the SPR, on his stack, the implied odds for him to call and hit, and he's likely doesn't have the best hand, right? Even if the guy's messing around with a king jack off, like we saw, or a pair, it's just not a great spot. Nice discipline there. Could easily get frustrated.
I think a hand like king queen suited, maybe he'd have looked queen 10 suited a little too weak. He kind of, like you say, some of the nonsense 3-bets might be a hand like king 5 or whatever that you want to be dominating. You don't want to be behind to those when you peel. So it does fold, and again, discipline. That's key here, guys. You're watching this, Vlad not getting carried away with the chip lead, and I'd imagine watching the stream, and although we're on a delay, he would have seen up to now it's been mostly honest. Bruno's ace 9, a little out of line. Rok's king queen, a little out of line, but not overly so. I think when he watches it, he'll be satisfied. But they've not been riding roughshod over him, shall we say. His D. Peters finds ace jack in the big, facing an open from Rodrigo. These two should see a flop first. Flop for a little while.
I guess.
30 million.
Wow.
Ooh. This could get interesting, because Rodrigo's obviously going to bet flop, having opened up and seen this kind of flop texture against the big blind peel. He just kind of always bets relatively small. There you go. 1.8. Not the smallest he could have gone, but small enough. And then most turns, Jeff, are going to be bricks, and he's going to have to fire up again. I'm guessing David Peters doesn't. I mean, I don't think he needs to check raise this. I think he gets. Okay, he does. All right. I'd be all right with check calling this, Jeff. You're gonna have so much weak stuff on an ace jack 8 that wants to continue. That I'd like to have this. I mean, I'd be more inclined to check raise, say jack 8, unblocking ace X, but obviously this instance is going to work out nicely as your opponent's sitting there with an ace.
Yeah, maybe it's partly that he thinks that he's also too many turns. He's going to get to check back if he goes check and he check back. So he wants to get the pot control. He also has some queen 10. Maybe it's like it's a one draw.
Yeah, there's a lot of straight draws that can still call that check raise, and also now making the pot this size can go. He is elected to check, but can go really small here, like 3-4 million, and set up a really easy pot bet. But decides to check. I guess again, Rodrigo's continue range going to have some hands like king queen in there. Certainly going to have some hands like ace 10 that have now improved. Gets to have a lot of strong ace X as well. Whereas David Peters gets to rep perhaps some things like Queen 10 that have now turned a pair, 10-9, 10-7 even, that maybe now want to just check and see a river. So there we go. Check gets a bet from Rodrigo, and D. Peters will just get to call, and has got himself to the river with multiple bets in. Jeff swelled the pot with top 2. Can't really fault that.
Yeah, this is interesting from Rodrigo too, because I think part of what he's worried about, if he doesn't bet here, that maybe he's going to get just ripped on and really tough. He's trying to maybe get a call and then slow down David on the river. But this is this is interesting.
I think he gets the idea is he gets to buy a showdown here, and also gets
that's what I'm saying. Exactly.
Yeah, denies equity to hands like Queen 10 and 10.
Exactly,
10,
the
9,
Queen 10.
But
exactly, they hit some value, but he's not sure. And wow, look at that! I mean, D. Peters just masterful pot and takes a big lead now for the field.
That was really nice in D. Peters, I guess, recognizing that. If he were to bet, it would be hard to stack an ace, perhaps. But he's checked it on over. Rodrigo's going to make these small bets with some maybe stronger one pair stuff that he then gets to blast into. And of course, if Rodrigo has turned 2 pair, then he probably gets them as well, and it allows him just to put a few chips in with any potential blast. I don't know. Again, a really interesting hand that I think could have played out a number of ways. The way it played out, though, D. Peters is now by a margin the chip leader.
And you know what's interesting here? Vlad, who should be opening this hand with his stack, and David in the small blind. This is maybe his best opening spot. He folds and he would have got one through. And that's just also running a bit bad in terms of how that's running. So wow. Yeah,
that's a great point. This one would have got through. D. Peters with a king from the small. I'm assuming this is going to be a jam. Fritz with no option but to fold with the 5 high, and leaves himself with just under 6 blinds.
This has honestly been clinical from David Peters. Like, this has been an absolute. Like, he's literally winning every pot, every spot. I mean, he's also getting some ridiculous spots, right? Queens of jacks, but that wasn't a massive pot. The ace jack flopping top 2, but even then, like, how he's extracting value. The 4s, the ace is flat, doesn't put another chip in the pot. I mean, he just seems. Again, I don't need to build up David Peters. He's actually on my podcast a couple weeks ago and got to kind of pick his brain about how he approaches the game, and he's one of those guys. Like, I think you could put him on the short list of people you don't want to see at your table. All these guys are great players, but his I would say he's maybe the most, at least in this group, the person I would want to see the least, and from what I understand. And obviously this is a super talented group of players here, but he's all these guys aren't playing 250s, 500Ks, 1 millions.
Yeah, well, he's
I think he's that guy. He's
had 10 7-figure cashes, Jeff, live. 10. Just let sink in for a second. He's total earnings just under 37 million, but he's had 10 7-figure live cashes. That is insane. And like you say, not someone you want to find when you work yourself through this 1,000-runner field.
All right, so interesting here. This is a spot where it's a little different. They have 5 and 15, not the 8 and 8 or 10 and 10 or whatever. So here he does go for, as you see, like, if he has 10 jack, he's probably just shoving. But the 6-10 off, it's like, all right, he would min raise, fold to Philip, shove, and look, it gets Manuel to lay down an ace off of 5 blinds even with that min raise. I mean, obviously Manuel's no fold equity and realizes even in a spot like that he's not going to be in great shape if he shoves. But again, just good decision making, good hand selection, and the guy's really doing it.
Certainly is. And it was worth noting as well that last hand, Rodrigo ace-10 undergun +1. Just let that go. Those 2 short stacks in the blinds, and you can trust D. Peters is going to put pressure on them from the button. So there's no need to get involved, and this really is a waiting game with the blinds going up. Manuel down to just 4 blinds. But again, all that aside, you see this kind of stuff from Talal again. He's happy to put his head above the parapet, and let's see if D. Petes goes after it, because this is certainly a spot he may well do. But again, Talal's the one that, you can put ICM pressure on him because it hits a strategy game, as we were discussing last night. But in terms of, is Talal going to lose sleep if he maybe doesn't ladder up like a couple $100,000? No, because that's not the place he's in life. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, D. Petes is going to put it down on him. And this is why it's really hard to be opening this kind of hands, guys. Look at this. You've got King, Queen. It looks good. And on a normal table, sure, open, but this final table, look at that. You've got Manuel with 4 bigs. You've got 2 guys with 10 bigs and 12 bigs, and they're all 3 of them are going to get pummeled by the 2 chip leaders. It's just stay out of trouble if you're Talal, Bruno, and Rok. That is the name of the game.
This is. I think he could definitely flat, but I actually, this would actually be based on Talal's play, based on this dynamic. I wouldn't have been surprised to see him 4-bet that particular holding. He's blocking kings, queens, ace, king, a lot of value hands, and David definitely in this particular spot could go light, and you're going to be in a lot of tough spots. Also opening here, you're opening on David Peters in position, plus Vlad's big blind, which he's probably going to defend a lot. So I don't know. This one I'm not in love with, and I think actually flatting would be my least preferred because it's just so tricky to play. I would probably have liked. It's also, again, seeing the cards face up, like, 4-bet jam would work or 4-bet would work, but I just think the hand selection is actually. I'm
with you, man. I'm open folding pre, but I think if you have opened at that point, then just knowing how wide pieces is going to be, the 4-bet jam becomes such an attractive option. But like you say, easier to see. You can see the cards instead. He's got himself in this spot with no pair and a gut shot.
Also, I think part of the problem is I don't think David's going to make many mistakes. Like, let's say this comes like Queen 9-4 or something. Like, I don't see David just stacking off or bluffing off necessarily to double him up. But again, Talal is one of those guys. Though I got to say, if he's watching, hello, and he's one of those guys. I think he's better at his hobby than my profession. So I'm not going to question his ability or play his thinking. But he's a great player, and again, there's this is a game of inches. There's a lot of spots where you could kind of go either way or it's close. I just this one it's tough spot. And here he is in an awkward position. The SPR is less than 1. It's exactly 1 basically, and Talal has got a decision. He does put out half the stack.
This is a little. I'm not sure, Jeff. A lot of DPs is 3-bet bluffs pre-flop at ace X, and hands like ace 9, ace 8, ace 5, 4, 3. All these hands are checking back the turn, as you see. So I think you're betting into it a lot. I guess maybe you're trying to make some of those actual hands pre-flop fold, like jacks, 9s.
The problem is with king queen off, you're blocking kings and queens, right?
Right.
Like you're blocking the kings and queens, which are the hands.
Well, yeah. Do they bet the flop? I'm not even convinced those hands necessarily bet the flop. So I don't know. That was I don't know. I don't like bluffing those ace high boards when the pre-flop 3-bet has got so much ace X in their range, and a lot of that ace X does check back turn. So maybe if we're going to be harsh, and I'm going to be harsh because hey, that's the job. That maybe potentially, arguably, some missteps from Talal there. But at the same time, if DP has just had some nonsense, he'd have won a nice pot, Jeff. So you can't fault him for trying, and like I say, willing to gamble it up, perhaps a little bit more than most, and try and win at this tournament. Philip with a pretty easy rejam, albeit there's no such thing at this stage of a tournament. But Ace Jack's certainly going to be going against D Peters his thing. And look at that, D Peters up to 90 million to start this hand.
He's almost double second, which is pretty insane. But it's actually Ace Jack off there. It's not. It's kind of at the bottom, right? Because look at his. There are 2 shorter and Manuel much shorter, right? And these pay jumps are getting healthy at this point. 5K buy-in, final table. I mean, go all the way up to 5th, which is 200,000, and currently, it's 100K for 8th, basically 97,000. So. I like that open from David. I like the shove, but I think Ace Jack off is pretty close, right? Like he's not shoving much worse than that, I don't think.
Yeah, and I think Rodrigo's going to get a shot here because DP's going to open up this king queen. The rest will go out the way. He'll get to maneuver his like 11 or 12 blinds into the middle, and well, he may get looked up here, Jeff. 12 blinds to king queen. You're going to be up against enough of these kind of hands, 8s, 9s, 7s. Even 10s and jacks, obviously, you're flipping against those similar hands like the ace 10 suited, the ace jacks. There's enough here for Dave Peters to take a shot, I think, at knocking someone out, and Rodrigo is the man with the target on his head here.
And even whatever happens here, but look, this is just like running well for David in the sense that the guy has a pair, right? Because he can easily have ace queen or ace king, and this is this is part of the reason why he's not maybe snap calling because of that. And he realizes this guy has got to be pretty tight here. But
right,
it's running well if he does call him, it's a flip. Yeah.
Yeah. And also the benefit here. I mean, it's hard. He's got to be tight because Fritz is sat there with 4 blinds. But at the same time, it's no disaster if Peter's double up pace. He'll have 73 million back. He does make the call. Great flop for Rodrigo. But wouldn't you believe it, Jeff? King on the end for, the king of this final table. David Peter up over 100 million in chips. Rodrigo brutally eliminated there, Jeff. You see you got the 8s and it comes 5, 6, 7. You can kill it on the turn with so many cards.
And the ace. And the ace comes. And the turn is an ace, which is a likely hit card that's going to sink you. You fade it. And then, that is one you actually probably fall out of your chair. Because that is such a massive, instead of 97K, you're like, 4th stack, in contention right now. So huge swing. And if you're Manuel, you love it. Philip loves it. Talal loves it. Everyone loves it. It's a pay jump and a tough player going out there.
Fritz is folded and guaranteed an extra 26K with his 4 big blinds. That river potentially making him an extra 26K. Well, at least another 26K. Could be much more. And Queen 8 suited. Maybe this is something he gives a go. I'm not sure. Talal's so short, and
it's
maybe
a great
he's thinking
spot,
Talal might make a misstep.
Yeah,
but you're looking at Talal. You fold, Talal might have to call it off against Bruno with some hand. You could double up. You could get another ladder up right here. And we know, like I say, Talal's happy to kind of risk busting more than most. There you go. Manuel does give it up. I like that. And for the same reason, I like obviously Philip folding here. He's going to have to fold a lot of hands. Just trust Bruno that Bruno's going to put the pressure on from the small as it happens. Bruno looks at 6-3 offsuit. Jeff is not.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Bruno against me, or a lot of people might rip it. Talal with like sub whatever. Talal's not folding like Queen 9 or whatever, right? He's going to call the stone bottom, even adjust it in that spot. And I think that's something Bruno is realizing. But if I'm Manuel, it's easy again to see the cards and say whatever. But I think that was actually a spot where Talal can't really call off in the big blind super light, right? Either he doesn't want to just call off like over half a stack. So I think that would have been the spot. And as it plays out. We'll see what happens. See if Manuel can maybe spin it up, or maybe does get a pay jump, or maybe finds a better spot to double. But listen, when you get through 1,200 people in it for a WPT trophy, and you're down to even 4 blinds, it's not fun to flick it in with Queen High. You want to just try to find a little better spot. I totally can understand that, but it's hard.
Here we go. It's another fun spot with all that in mind, because Bruno probably wants to play this ace-3 suit in the button, but you've got Rok in the big who covers, and here we go. He just decides just to rip it, and that makes it really, really hard for Rok. If this was, again, a normal situation, it'd probably be quite an easy call, but he doesn't want to call off and risk busting out here, a couple of hands later, perhaps, when Fritz is near elimination, Talal's near elimination. This is a lot of fun. This is a really good example this evening, guys, of loads of really interesting ICM spots. There we go. Does get it through. Exactly that. I mean, that's why you rip the ace-3 suited there. You can make ace-10 fold. There we go. All right, Fritz. Line of the sand has been drawn. King-Queen's going in. He's going to get some action from Vlad, and then Talal, well, with an option himself. I guess it's just fold, because you can fold and ladder, but ace queen's a strong hand, Jeff. I know, not as strong as some think, perhaps, but
you know what I would do? I'm not putting them in here with this action, but I get it. And to be fair, you got a 3 blind and then a flat from a big stack, and you're kind of crushing Vlad here. So it's a good opportunity to get some good chips. I mean, honestly. I think I actually like it.
Yeah, it's a spot where you just got to make sure you don't come third in the pot, right? If you bust out to Vlad, but Fritz also busts out, then you still got the ladder. So he does decide to give it a go. And this is great news for Philip. Look at this. Philip sat there, Bruno sat there, Rok sat there, quite relatively short, and there's a 3-way all-in scenario, and Vlad just flops them all dead.
No. Wow.
Vlad Darie.
And they both had a heart. It's 118-1 odds to flop a flush, and the opponents had a heart each, and wow, just does it dead. Just 2 knockouts.
Bang.
Everyone is guaranteed 200 grand, just like that, James. 200K locked up for the remaining players.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, look at that. Bruno, Rok, Philipp, massive laddering there. Fritz out in 7th, 123. Shakerchi 6th for 156K. And like you say, we're now in the 200K club. Just like that, man. You fold a couple of orbits, you move up from what they were guaranteed 97 after Joao busted, now guaranteed 202,000. Wow.
Well,
and here we go.
I'll tell you what.
Again, pressure going straight on. Poor Vlad. What's going on? Vlad just gets jumped on again here. Opens up King Jack, and Bruno says, no, I'll have that, thanks.
I'll tell you what we're not talking about yet, which is important because, again, he just gets raised again. Vlad's back to 62 million, almost like nothing happened today so far. But he was one non-get there away from having a kind of a meltdown, right? If he doesn't win that pot, he's Talal wins like huge pot. He would have had like 22 blinds, I think, or 30 blinds, whatever it was. He would have been, he would have really been short. Right. We would have been still 6-handed, and he would have not been in great shape. So that was a very big pot.
Huge scenario for the entire tournament. Philipp now by far the shortest, but it can move quickly. These three all still just over 20 blinds of Rok, a little over 20 for Bruno, and a little over 10 here for Philipp as he just gets to rip it in from the small. Imagine they'd all be very happy with how this final's gone so far. Like you say, Vlad's pretty much where he started, but they've lost a number of players, and even as a chip leader, you just want to see ladders. It's never a bad thing. WPT's had a phenomenal start. The other three laddering up this far is also a great result. Just like that, 5 left. Wow. Quick final so far.
Crazy, really crazy action. A lot of exciting spots and hands. I've seen a lot of fun stuff. This has been so far my favorite final table, I think, that I've seen, just in terms of dynamics and situations and creativity, and interesting scenarios coming up. So definitely, I hope you guys are taking notes mentally, at least at home. I know I am, and enjoying this. Yeah,
it's almost like some sort of highlight reel. It seems like there've been so many interesting hands, so many not unorthodox lines, but interesting lines taken as well along the way. Phenomenal stuff so far from everyone involved. It's great to see. But as always seems to be the case, Jeff, all the money so far is headed towards David Peters. Here he goes, popping up Ace Jack. Philipp, 2 9s. Going to rifle this in, that's for sure. And this is a little closer now for D Pete's. The 15 blind rejam, 5-handed. This may be a spot he decides to take. Ace Jack. I mean, Philipp's going to be jamming the widest of the 4 others, right?
Yeah, I mean, from his perspective, if he calls and loses, he still's got 85K or 85 million, and he's still pretty healthy. But it's also, he's just crushing. Like, he can really put these 3 stacks in some tough spots ICM wise right now with Philipp. But I don't know. This is he's running hot. He's running very hot.
I think it might be just slightly too strong to fold, but let's see what Peters thinks.
Yeah, me too. I think he's going to do it, but he's taking his time. Oh, he goes.
He has, and Philipp flops clean, turns clean, rivers clean. All right, dynamic shifting. D Peters still the chip leader. Philipp suddenly up into 3rd, and now the pressure's on Volkmann and Gostisa. Yeah, I'm on board with the call.
Yeah, I mean, he's still in super control, but it's the problem. I think when you do think about what he's shoving, I don't think he's maybe like Ace-10 suited, King-Queen suited. Is he shoving? I start looking more like a flip, Warrior Dummy. It's close.
No, I think he's shoving still. I think he's shoving like plenty of hands still, like the Ace-5 suited, the Ace-10s. I think there's enough in there that kind of. Yeah, I guess the argument was the tank was probably more Jeff about, like you saying, he's got such a great situation going on here. Does he need to necessarily jeopardize that? But then the advantage of knocking someone out, getting more chips, and having that scenario 4-handed is even better. So DP does make the call and doubles up Philipp. Well, it's been a frantic first hour or so on this final table. It is time for a break. Myself and Jeff will be back in 5 minutes for more of this, the WPT World Online Championships final table right here on Party Poker. We join the action on this final table. Joao is the shortest stack. Andre Drozzle there is your chip leader. Lines at 1.5 million, 3 million. In the commentary booth.
It's now like Disneyland for grown-ups.
We'll be going back there in August. Poker Millions.
Oh, he just flat called. So this guy really wants to ladder up and only calls the tens. Yeah, I don't like it here too much, but let's see how he continues. And hopefully we get some, maybe a jack high flop and see how Andre is going to proceed.
Right. It's worth noting, of course, Andre with 10-9. Nico has him in very bad shape.
But really, like, the guy's playing much tighter than expected.
Well, this is definitely a board that Andre could barrel on. King high, he does have a gut shot. Nico's still in front with his pair of tens.
Okay.
And this is a case, I guess he knows Nico doesn't really have many kings in his range, flatting from that position off his stack, right? So
exactly, ace king he would sharp, king queen he would fold, and that's where you're getting in trouble with your tens now. It's probably going to go in the second barrel, I hope so. And yeah, let's see. This could be interesting.
Nico now facing a 10 million chip bet. He does, of course, call at least once. 41 in the pot, 57 back for Nico. 10.
I mean, Andre needs to be a little scared of like the aces slow play and like pocket eights, pocket sixes. Andre checks here. The six is a pretty good card. Like, doesn't help Nico a lot. Nico has like sevens, nines, tens, maybe some ace queen floats. So with the gut shot, I think he could just bet again here.
Well, the river and ace, that is an interesting card. Nico probably couldn't think of a worse card to see than that. Andre now surely wants to bluff. And he is piecing together a bet. Nico, of course, you say doesn't really have any ace size, maybe an ace queen float. And I think you're right, he has Nico on exactly the kind of hand he has.
And Andre is bluffing here with a big bet, with the pot size. The pot size bet here, and that's interesting. So
you might expect him to value bet a little smaller with an ace, right? So Nico.
Yeah, it's a bit weird of a bet size here because he's saying like, I have ace king at least.
Yeah.
Or flush or full house. Full house is still possible. Checking on the turn.
But those hands almost certainly would have bet the turn. So Nico may be trying to work out why he's gone so big. Of course, even if he pieces it all together, we've seen Andre make all sorts of different bet sizings. So Nico might still feel it's possible he is just doing this with an ace. But I'm with you. I think this just doesn't make much sense for really any value hands.
Yeah, only like really strong hands. And you could also check raise. You know, if you have eights here, why don't you check and let him bet his ace queen, ace jack?
Let's see if Nico can piece it together.
But with tens, it's tough to call.
It is tough to call, and there's ICM considerations, as we keep saying at stake. That's, you know, almost all his chips with 8 left in the tournament. He doesn't want to make a hero call. So great pickup for Andre. That's for 283 million. So
nice bluff there, and yeah, he got.
There's over a quarter of the chips in play. Welcome back, one and all, to this, the WPT World Online Championships main event final table. Myself and Jeff calling the action in. Jeff, what has been an incredibly fast-paced final so far?
But I guess, again, these guys are not afraid. We're seeing, I don't want to say I see them out the window. We're seeing people put pressure, be first in. And again, this is definitely gone a couple shakeouts a little bit. The run out, right? The double knockout with ace-9 suited versus ace-queen. That could easily have been a double for Talal, and we'd be six-handed still. But with that double knockout, we are down to 5 relatively quick. And, David Peters is in the lead. And again, seems to keep getting favorable positions, getting slightly better. He's definitely had a good distribution so far.
I'm just looking at this, Jeff, because I think Philipp must have picked up a few more chips of David Peters since we went on break, right? Because I think D. Peters was down to 85 and Philipp had gone up to 35, but he's further increased his chips to, just short of 50 million. But then this hand's been dealt that looks like it may move the needle back the other way. Interesting, Vlad decided to overcall here with 2's 3 of clubs. Take this 3 away from the big blind. But it is obviously D. Peters and Phil here with the best of it. And it's going to be hard for Philipp not to lose a lot of chips there, right? Yeah,
see how David plays this. I mean, getting called by both players, it's a good flop, but it's also connects a lot with the players. But look at the sizing. Just goes for a KG bet.
Yeah. Really. I mean, no one's got... They shouldn't... I mean, they could have 10s, I suppose. No one's got aces. No one's got kings. No one's got ace-king. Could be up against ace-10, king-10, queen-jack. But otherwise, ace-queen looks very strong here. And yeah, goes for slightly larger sizing than maybe you can really see. But he is betting 3-way into, especially the small blind's range. You want to put some pressure on some of those hands. There's going to be some suited broadways in there. But it's bigger. Diamond on the turn kind of, I imagine, kills us a little bit. But from David Peters' point of view, Jeff, I don't think Philipp has that many flushes because, well, the ace and the king of diamonds on board, what you're looking at, queen, jack of diamonds, jack 10 of diamonds, queen 10 of diamonds. A couple of those hands may well have raised flop. But nonetheless, it's a card that is concerning.
Yeah, it's be really interesting here what he does. Does decide to slow down, and wow, what a river!
Right, and this is actually pretty grim if you're David Peters facing this bet, but I don't think you can do anything but call. But I mean, you're hoping it's this, right? You're hoping it's ace jack, queen jack still possible. And like I said, there are other flushes in there. There are 10-9 of diamonds. 8-9 of diamonds, some of them that may have pulled from the small bit. He does make the call and be very happy to see it was a value bet, but a value bet from worse. And once more, Peters back to 100 million. Just as Philipp was getting things going, he takes out one of his legs. Guys, if you are just joining us, this is the WPT World Online Championships final table. They're playing for just shy of a cool $1 million for the winner. Fifth prize. What they're currently guaranteed is $202,000. And, well, if you want to get your hands on some money, why not come join us on Party Poker right now? We have the WPT WOC free roll going off. Please do head on over to Party. Check it out. The password is 5 million guaranteed. You see it written top of your screen there. Come and get involved. Jeff, we can't give away 959K, but we can give away $500.
Hey. It's something, as we said, man. $100. There's been $4, $22, $109 phases. You got to put the time in. You got to play. You got to get in. Whether it's a free roll, one of the smallest tournament phases, there are ways to get in. And we wish you guys luck and hope you get to spin it up and play in one of these feature tables in the future. So it's possible. It's always possible. Where's your stack in this, James? Are you cruising yet or no?
I'm there, still at starting stack. Nothing untoward happening just yet. Biding my time, Jeff. Unlike some of these guys. Look at this Bruno 3xing from the small. Will Rok just pile on him? The other two shortest, Rok does cover. And Bruno's going to have plenty of race spots. I think ace-9 is going to be strong enough, isn't it, Jeff? I mean, it's also nice to perhaps call these spots and have some ace-x for post-flop.
based on how Rok's played, he seems to really push the ICM, like the spots where first in on hands, like we saw the Queen King suited jam. We've seen other jams. I think his style, and on this stack depth, it's a little tough to mess around here. And again, just figures he might have the best hand. Also knows Bruno's game, I'm sure, who's capable of brazing there with not all premiums and does pick up a nice pot. And I will say, if I sell Rok at a table in the future, I do feel like I've got a decent idea about his
God,
style.
Look at this. Look
what
at this,
is going
Philip.
on?
He'd got himself back in the game. Suddenly got up to third in chips, and bar a king is about to be out, guys. The coldest of cold decks you can get in a poker tournament. 5-handed. You got kings, the chip leaders, found aces, and I mean, Peters is going to 3-bet from the big blind. Some players wouldn't 3-bet from the big blind if the stacks were perhaps reversed. There's an argument for not 3-betting because you're not supposed to 3-bet too many hands. Obviously, it's to have way more bluffs the chip leader. So it is going to 3-bet this. And Philip, again, ICM just sort of probably dictates you just want to 4-bet here. You don't want to... You want to stack queens and jacks and ace-king and stuff, and you don't want to risk busting out post-flop to some other silly hands. So I think we're just going to see a rip here. And as I say, the cruelest of cruel scenarios, Jeff. I mean, you get 5-handed, you're playing for a best part of a milli, and they deal you kings with the ace. Like, really? Let's see. I just feel like this is a rip from Philip.
Yeah, just it makes sense. It's a big pickup, even just to fold. Puts him in a healthy third if he can take it down. Well, he gives a click, a little medicine.
Click. I like that. I actually like that as well. The click is good. You're not gonna get peeled on the click. You're putting Peters to the test, but you do give him the tiniest bit of room to do something silly. See,
Jeez.
Peters is, I don't think, ever going to just peel this, even though this, obviously, if you're ever going to peel it, this is the hand you would trap with. Oh, he does. Okay, he does give him some belief that this could be light. But now it's over. Jack 4-6. There was a way he could have got away from this. This is not one of them. Wow. But again, Jeff, though, an interesting hand. Pre-flop play.
Very interesting. If you're Philip and you're there, you got your boys probably watching or hanging out, and you got them. You got the dream spot. You got 25 in the middle. The SPR stack to pot ratio is 1. You think you might got Peters, Queen 10 suited, Jack 10 suited, stuff like this, messing about or something or a weak ace, right? Maybe Peters just did have like the ace 3 or ace 5 suited and was bluffing, and now here you are, and you're just not going to believe it when these hands get turned over. Philip is not going to believe that David actually has aces. Like, it's just too hard to believe, right? I mean, he's never gonna expect this in a million years.
Yeah, and I like
just too sick.
Obviously on Jack 6-4 rainbow, no reason to do any raising on this flop, even though it's only half pot remaining. But you've got to give Philip the maximum rope if you're gonna give him rope. And Philip, again himself, Philip's gonna be very confident here. He's gonna be aware that aces is possible, but bar that, he's feeling very happy about this scenario. It's a cruel one. Bruno Volkmann, meanwhile, Jeff, is sitting there going, "I'm enjoying watching this. This could be another ladder, same as Rok. They're thinking there's a chance here."
Yeah.
And the pay jump is big. We're talking about 96k pay jump, 94k pay jump. Pardon me, there at the moment. And there it is, the shove, the call, the bad news. T. Peters rockets further ahead. Wow. Philipp Hofbauer, the coldest of cold decks, 202k. And the rest with that monstrous pay jump. This final is just cruel.
It's been really wild. David Peters, 132 million. He has over double second all of a sudden, 4-handed. And we are, what are we in, an hour and a little over an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been
Jeff, we started the final at the 400-800 level. So they played that, the 5-1, and here we're at 6-12 and down to 4 already. And one of those, Bruno, is just over 10 blinds as well. Really, really been impressive. That is very cool. Like, shout out to Philip. Obviously, Jeff, if he'd lost the flip with the 9s to ace jack, you'd go, I came 5th. I navigated well, I laddered up, and then I lost a flip. David Peters was getting lucky. What can I say? He was running good. But instead, to to go on the spin up, get up to 45, 50 million, then get kings into aces is just hurts that a little bit more. They gave you the false hope.
Yeah, it's man, it's a sick game. Really is at times pretty sick. And here we go. This is four-handed quickly, and again, Rok is in there healthy. Bruno's not been. He's got the tens. He had a light playback at Vlad, and he had tens to jam when he was at 25 million, I believe, 25 blinds at the time. But other than that, I mean, he's got to be fairly happy to be, guaranteed 296K and hasn't really had to put his chips at risk or play too many big spots so far. So nice score for him, whatever happens. But he's still, 10 blinds. He wants more. So there's still anyone's game right now. Of course, tournament poker, all players know what they're doing, and there's still a lot of play left. David at 100 big blinds right now, four-handed. Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. Here we go then. 701.4 million. Feels like we don't need the blinds to go up in this final, Jeff. They're doing quite the job of working their way through it as it is.
Yeah.
And Rok 3xing with the ace queen. I like this, Jeff, making it slightly larger sizing, the 3x on Bruno's blind. You want to dissuade Bruno to peel. It also, for want of a better word, sends a little bit of a message to the other two. Look, I've got a hand here, guys. Just let me go after Bruno. You can't really do anything if I raise bigger. Nice adjustment from him there. I think that these guys know Rok isn't going to be opening anything light with Bruno that short because, well, there's just no incentive to do so.
Yeah. And Vlad respecting Peter is also respecting that Bruno's got a shove stack, doesn't decide to flat the 8-9 suited, which I think he could, but yeah, I mean, he's just, right now Vlad's pretty comfortable. He's got a good stack. Bruno's really short, and the K jumps now are massive. So fourth to third is over, it's like 150, 6,000-7,000. So that's a lot of buy-ins. We're talking about, what, 30 buy-ins for the next pay jump in the 5K main event. So these pay jumps are huge. Even the third to second is over 200,000, right? These are ridiculously big pay jumps right now. So this is definitely the exciting time of the tournament where everything really does matter, and this is very intense. And this is actually one of those spots, man, where fours are one of those hands where, like, he can look at this. He did do it. He did it. Yep. He just put it on. Vlad, what
are you gonna do?
I feel bad for Vlad today. He has been getting in. What are you gonna do for your Vlad?
You're trying to open the seventh zone. This is it. I love these situations come up, and they're prime examples. You're watching that. If Vlad had opened with, like, Jack 10 suited and something like that, you'd be like, okay, that's fine. But that's the case in point that you rip forward, you can get sevens to fold. It's just an absolute print. Pieces just putting on a display here, guys. Sport buff question inbound, guys. So please, if you are just joining us, click in the top right corner of the screen. Find the start now button. Let us track your answers. If we can track your answers and you get the questions right, you can win a ticket. What is Yuri's best live tournament cash? That is, of course, the Nerd Guy, the latest Team Party Poker Pro.
Look at those numbers. They're all pretty close, and I would say maybe he's got some of each of those, because that guy's, I mean, he's won so many. That guy's a great player. What an addition for Party Poker. Happy to have him. He is an absolute crusher, that guy. He's also there a lot, deep in these big events. Definitely one of the best players in the world. Yep. So all those numbers look good as an online scores. See who gets it. 3,000 on right now. Welcome in, everyone. Tell us where you're from. Tell us what's going on if you're enjoying this. This, again, James, I know you've done a lot of tables. I've done a fair amount. We've done a fair amount together, and this is, I think, the most action-packed fun in a main event, right? This isn't a knockout. This feels like it's a knockout tournament, like a KO. I mean, this is a freeze-out WPT, name on the Sexton Cup trophy. This is the real deal right here, guys. And you're seeing chips fly, people go for it, and the best in the world putting on a display in every sense of it. So this has just been a treat to go.
Vlad putting on a bit of a display. He's had enough. He's going to play back at Deep Eaters and give him a bit of his own medicine. Again, nice hand selection with a king. Quite crucial here. King 10 plays okay if he's forced to go to a flop. So a good hand there. And obviously, just putting more pressure on Bruno by 3-betting. Just Bruno has to fold everything in the hope of a ladder. As Jeff says, that this has been the best we've seen for a long time, this farm table, because we've seen so many good moves, but they've all been against great hands. It's all been very interesting. There's been no kind of... I guess these guys have all played so far above the rim today, but they've done it in just the right setups of hands and stuff that have created such fun action for us. And I'm not just talking about the fact that we've seen a number of bust outs, guys. Oof. Hello. Rok looking good for a double here, Jeff.
Yeah, this is an interesting spot because of the dynamic that Bruno's so short. He has to be tight, but David knows that. Everyone knows that, but David actually just has one of those hands that's like, he's gonna have such a good hand. Yeah.
Actually, Rok's raised. I mean, either way, like you say, Peters is just going to put it on him here with Bruno so short, surely.
Yeah, this will be a rare misstep for David, but I can't fault him. I mean, he's got a really nice hand to do this spot with. It's just... but look at this.
What a player. How does he do that? How is he this good? How is he that good, Jeff? How?
I mean, the guy is impressive. The guy's impressive. I mean, he still may, who knows what happens here, but either way, again, he's just in tune. Like I said, it's like on that fours hand, he just knows the guy has aces that flatted him in that spot, in that board. He doesn't go, the guy, I think his ability to read situations in players' hands, not just situations, but actually what his opponent is holding, it's uncanny. I think he's just so in tune to the game. Not who I want to see at the table.
No. Very, very well judged. And I like this check as well from Rok. You raise from the small. You're going to have to play very cautiously with range in this situation. And Jack 8-6 certainly fits Deep Eaters more, having peeled from the big blind, than it does what Rok would be raising, given the ICM situation. So again, just it looks simple, guys, but again, this is just outstanding play from both in this hand. Both playing this hand perfectly, which feels like I'm saying a lot today.
I mean, look at that. David Peters, who we were both trying to see a way in any scenario where I actually thought it was more likely he gets all the money by how he did play it, raising, then limping, but it's just, David literally lost a blind, right? He lost the raise. That's a blind and a half or whatever it was. That's all he lost. He didn't put another chip in the pot. Really, really crazy.
Brazen 3, my man. There are no dumb questions. Yes, of course, the boys have answered you. We are on a delay. Welcome, by the way, everyone in the chat. You've been firing off today, but the action has been so quick that myself and Jeff haven't had much chance to get involved. But we are reading, so if you do have any questions, please do fire away. And once these guys settle down, if they settle down on this farm table, we'll try and get to as many as possible. It has been wild, and I did notice in the chat earlier people talking about the excitement, because next week we will, of course, the stream will be going live. Jeff, it's been a while, but we'll be back in action in North Cyprus next Monday for the Millions North Cyprus warm-up final day. I believe it'll be the first stream. So if you are clucking to watch some of that live poker, as I know I am, not long to wait now to watch that final day play out. But Jeff, if this is going to be our last online table stream for a little bit, we're going out with a good one. Deep Eaters,
it's a great one.
One of the biggest winners of all time. Rok Gostisa, one of the biggest winners of the last 2 years. Bruno Volkmann, absolute Brazilian legend, and we've seen him come close in the Millions before, coming second in Millions South America. And then Vlad Darie, the man here, a WPT winner in the past, second in the WPT Tournament of Champions the year he won his WPT as well, going for a second title. Really, really stellar Final Four, as it was a stellar Final 9, in fairness.
And Rok here with just a four-handed kind of fist pump. Other than Bruno, it's still 200 grand, right? Imagine he just rips it into Ace King or King, or somehow the guy wakes up. But this is just one of those spots where, as we've seen, I think it's like what I'm learning today is the best offense is offense, right? It's like ICM. You may think like, oh well, you have Queen King suited, you're supposed to just call here. Right, like you don't want to bust. It's a mistake, but no, it's like you rip it, and people have to play tight on all ends. I mean, that's what I'm seeing, right? It's just like, it's sort of textbook what's going on, because that's not an easy jam. Like you literally have, this guy's got like 5 blinds, and you are in very healthy third. So to shove there, it takes balls, like it does. It takes really recognizing hand and situation.
Yeah, I mean the pay jumps like a supercar. We're at that stage of the tournament, right? Where you could start buying some really nice stuff with these pay jumps. It's like, I know you shouldn't think like that when you're playing, guys, and you got to look at things as just as they are.
Or a CryptoPunk, right? It's like it's half of a CryptoPunk, the floor of a CryptoPunk right now, which is So I saw a funny tweet today. There was the most expensive CryptoPunk sold for like 7 million or something. That's the top one that's ever sold. And then they put that picture next to like a plot of land, like a beautiful piece of land with a home, like a Montana home, like a dream home for like 7 million, right. Or you could own a JPEG, and it's like that's life today. It's just kind of crazy if you think about it, right? Like what's going on? But yeah, it's a lot of money. Whatever this is, it's a lot of money.
It is beyond wild, but yeah. The easiest way to make money on farm tables is by folding. It's the risk free. Well, not risk free, because I mean you're blinding out, but it's the one that helps. You sleep easier at night if you give up on these spots. But also these guys know no gamble, no future. Jeff, Rok. Rok going for it here, going for the gamble against Bruno Volkmann, but backfires, doubles up his man, and those two get pretty even again. Great news for DPters. Gets to put pressure on them all here now with those two both sub 20 big blinds.
I need a visual on this guy. I actually looked him up yesterday, and I don't think I found a picture of him, Rok. But this guy is man. He is impressive. Yeah, salute. How old is he? Do you know much about him? Does he have some live results too, or just mostly like online broken into the scene?
He's just another young guy crusher. There's some pictures if you bounce around online looking for him. Just another beast. I don't actually know how old he is though. Let me see if I can find out for you. I'm not sure actually. If anyone knows how old Rok Gostisa is, give us a shout. Try and find out. But
this might be actually Vlad's. This could be his first raised takedown of the day.
It's just not fair, is it?
And David may still defend. He does have to go to bat, but this looks like a board. He's likely going to just find a way to take it. A little bit of a scary flop though, right? If you raise ace-5 suited, I mean, could connect around David, but ultimately just take it right there. So Vlad still healthily in second, over double third place. So David double second and Vlad double third, and then Bruno though does tighten the gap, and he is still well in the game now with 13-ish blinds, 14 even.
Yeah, there's a lot of things can still happen on this farm table. Let's put it like that. It's far from settled that David Peters will run away from this. The rest so capable. It won't take them much to get back in this. There you go.
Super. It's
Play in the chat saying Rok was born in '95, which would therefore make him 25 or 26 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so interesting. A lot of these spots, whether to raise, to min raise, as we saw the 3x in a certain spot because of stack size in the big blind. These are all nuances of the game, and again, it's anytime you see yourself thinking that you would do something differently, it's important to make a note, think about it, talk to people, and try to realize why these guys are doing these things in these spots. Because I know myself, I'm sure you're in there too. There's definitely, we've even just talked out loud, and there's been times where we're fairly surprised. And I feel like I understand dynamics and stuff, but there's been some really even like the Queen King suited jam early on, 8-handed.
Yeah.
Rok jammed under the gun, open from Peters. He was in like third or fourth, and he ripped it. I mean, that is not in the ICM book, but that was that play. I mean, that was crazy. Just shows you the guy's got gusto.
It's not something I would have done. But I can get on board with it. I can understand that if we're thinking, right, the range to call is like ace king and then maybe queens plus, and we got king queen. Well, we block queens, we block kings, and we block ace king. I can get on board with it. But I couldn't do it, Jeff. I wouldn't have it in me to do it. I'd be like, you know what? I'll just call king queen suited. I'll call and see the flop. Like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. I'll talk about it on stream. Hey, I saw someone do this. I could shove here. It would be a suitable play, but
I understand it.
The next year's final table 5K main event. The next one I'll do it, but this time, we're gonna wait for a better one. Animal.
Hey, if it comes up on the free roll, Jeff, I'll give it a go. But
let me know how that goes.
That's part of $1 million on the line. Doesn't work in the free rolls.
I mean, probably not to the same effect. Not to the same. I don't think too many people are laying down 10s in the free rolls, but
no. Maybe not. Speaking of free rolls, though, guys, it is going off right now on Party, the WPT WOC free roll. Please do come on over. You got still 24 minutes left to late reg that bad boy. We're giving away $500 in cold hard cash. So please do come over and get some of it. Speaking of things we're giving away, of course, we do have our ticket giveaways every hour. What we have to do is play along with the Sport Bluff questions when they pop up on screen. And again, we did do a draw on the last break. I haven't got round to announcing it yet because, well, the action's been so quick. So we'll get to that, assuming nothing happens in this hand, which it looks like there shouldn't be. So it is Chow Visk, DT KVI, Munter 34, Patrick Pubstar, and Marcy B. If you heard your name just now, you've won one of those $11 tickets. Names are going in the chat. Congratulations, you 5. Like I say, if you want a chance to win those tickets, all you got to do is follow along with the Sport Buff questions as and when they pop up. But make sure you give us permission to track your answers first by clicking Start Now. You'll find the details in the top right of your screen. And Bruno. Oh, Peters and Vlad here. Ace 10 9s, blind on blind. Bruno with a little over 10 Queen 8 suited. Brazen 3 says, how is Rok that as old as me and that good? Imagine how me and Jeff feel, guys. He's that much younger than us, and he's that good. And we, I wonder when we first started playing poker, Jeff, professionally, what Rok was doing. Well, we're looking at. He's a child.
18 years ago. 20 years ago. Yeah, he was 7. He was playing Connect 4 and doing his thing.
Do you ever think imagine like that long ago when we're walking around thinking, we're the business at poker and all that, and you just saw this kid on the street with his parents, and you'd be like, you probably wouldn't think one day in the future we'll be talking about how great this guy is and all this, but that's life, all these surprises pop out.
Yeah, that's how it rolls. And look at this, gets Vlad to lay down 9s, a big 3-bet from Peters. And Vlad, I mean, listen, credit to Vlad. He's hung in there. He did get there on that one hand versus Talal, but he's been active. The guy has just been relentless as well. He's opened a lot. He's gotten bad spots where people have had hands that are chosen in close spots to play back at him. But, he's still here healthily in second. And, these guys are super solid. This is a high level stuff going on. These guys are, I'm honestly having a blast. This is the most fun I've had doing the table by far. And I'm actually going to Cypress Millions. I'm gonna be playing the events, and I will hopefully, hopefully get to commentate, James. I'm going to come, run in on the breaks and come see you and shout you out at the table and hopefully make some final tables. So,
I was going to ask Jeff. Well, hang on. Well, this hand looks like it could be spicy. DPT's popping up here with ace-8, flopping trip 8. Bruno with a gut shot and a backdoor heart draw with the jack of hearts off this shallow stack. This could be his race run in this pot, guys. He's not going for anywhere for a blind. I can tell you that much. And there's plenty of scenarios where he ends up popping into it. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, too, David's literally opening like 4-7 suiteds and all things right now. So, I think he's just like the fact that he has the best in nut 8 is insane. He can't. David probably can't believe that this is. Oh my word! Oh, what a fake!
Bruno,
jeez, the run out. What a run out!
Bruno Volkmann binks his gut shot after check jamming, and then the cruelty of all cruelties. Jeff. He needed a 9. What he didn't need were 2 9s. 2 9s gives Peters the full house and a brutal run out for Bruno Volkmann. But $296K to soften the blow. Everyone now guaranteed $453,000. Yet another really fun hand for this final table. Yikes.
Man, poker, you know what? People talk about solvers and all this stuff, and poker's gotten harder, but at the same time, I think new people have come into poker. The game is growing, and honestly, there's just so many interesting styles and ways you can play. I just think it's so fun. Like, I personally, I'm having the most fun that I've had playing poker or watching poker in the last, I don't know, forever, really. It's surprising to me. I don't know how you feel about poker at the moment. It just seems fun. There's so much stuff going on. Wow.
Look at this. Peters. Oh! Vlad's had enough. Vlad's seen enough. He's done with this nonsense. Peters 3 bets. Vlad wastes no time. Rifles it in with ace-9. Jeff, wow, what a display we got going on from these guys. This is incredible. Yeah, I mean, Jeff, you were just talking about Cyprus and how you're going to be there. I was going to ask you because I got quite excited when I noticed your background, that the sky got dark at a not too dissimilar time to mine. So I figured you were nestled somewhere here in Europe, and I was hoping that it will be the case that you're going to be bouncing around Cyprus.
Yeah, we'll have to get a beer and hang out and have some fun, and I will. I was just there recently as well. I love Cyprus. I think the merit is amazing. It's a great stop. It's a great venue and great action. So this is, it makes sense. I think party coming back, bringing the live action back to the streets. It'll be really interesting to see the turnouts, and I think it should be a great event. So definitely looking forward to that. Nice. It's right here. It's basically starting right now. So
yeah. It is. Our first coverage begins Monday on the stream, but obviously events start before that. We're starting with the warm-up final day. Now, Jeff, what I'm not going to do, I'm not going to ask you to commit to doing the warm-up final day commentary with me, because that was the event I think that you and I had the never-ending tournament in Rio, where we were sat in the booth, and you're going to finish it off for me, and then there were like 25 double-ups in a row or something silly. And,
yeah, that was.
I don't think you had much sleep before the main event. Yeah.
No.
Actually,
yeah, that was crazy. That was fun. That was a fun stop. Definitely fun. And look at this though, man. This is wild. This is wild. David Peters with 160 million chips. He's got a dream scenario right here, and definitely gonna be opening the ace on the puck. No one's got much here to play back at.
Pieces, yep, popping up the button. Who's it going to be, guys? Right now, Peters looks, well, indestructible. He's got 2/3 of the chips in play. But look at this. Rok popping it up with the king deuce from the big blind over D. Peters is open once more. Just standout plays from these 3 absolute beasts. And I like this, Jeff. We like the King X hands that do this. And obviously, Rok's got the least to lose. I love the term you've come out with, Jeff, the old risk premium, but DP just doesn't get to 4-bet as liberally as maybe he can do against Vlad in a similar spot. As Vlad is going to try and get one through himself. Fun times.
Yeah, so Peters will peel, and Vlad doesn't get a very fun flop for the ace-5 suited. No backdoor flush, just a backdoor straight draw, ace-high. Could be the best hand, but a little bit of a tricky one to play. Also can get put in the cage here a little bit with putting chips in. So I think, it's actually one of those, though, maybe, I like the check, but you could just almost think that it's worth taking a shot to just bet and fold if you get resistance, because you are going to have a lot of turns where Peters is going to probe and put you in a tough spot. So these are very interesting to me, whether you bet or check. I think in this particular dynamic, just stack preservation is important, and he does decide to check. And we do see David check again the turn with a pretty strong middle.
Yeah, I'm actually
pair.
Yeah, a little surprised, Jeff, I am, that he does decide to check this turn, because he's going to want to bet the turn with a lot of hands. His deep-eats and 9 with an overcard certainly good enough. But then again, it's nice to have some strong hands when you check that second time, especially into a player as capable as Vlad, who may go for some delayed bluffs. And now goes to a really small block with 4 to a straight on board. Only 7 getting there. But this, I say, should see Vlad fold. But at the same time, hey, if you don't think he's betting one pair of hands, which he might not be, don't think he's got a 10 or a 9 because he checked the turn, probably don't expect to bet an 8. You may talk yourself into calling here.
And from that, because you would think,
yeah, right.
That's the thing. 7 or 8x hands probably bet turn. Wow. So,
this guy, I love him. I love Vlad. This may work, right? Vlad can have some 7x that checks turn. He can certainly have a7. Well, I say some. That's about it. He could have. I don't know. I guess he can have some 7x. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, David's wheels are spinning too here, though. What, he's not betting Jack Queen on the flop, like he's not betting. It's bizarre. Wow! Oh my goodness, David! All around.
There's not a lot of 7x Vlad has, but he can have a7, of course. He's checked out ace5. There's not a lot. There's not a lot D Peters gets to have there in terms of 7x, which is why I think D Peters then says, well, I can't really have too much 7x, and I bet really small here, and I don't have. There aren't too many hands I'm going to have. I've got to call sometimes, and he decides to take Queen 9. Queen, obviously, quite crucial. You do block Queen Jack, but as you say, Jeff, Queen Jack not overly likely. Just again, more outstanding play from these guys. Watch and learn, like myself and Jeff are doing, because this is something else. This is one of these that needs to be watched back, I'd say, guys. If you're watching, Jay Little asking, did he call? He most certainly did. I know Jay Little's rooting on D Pete's been in the chat all evening. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to give you a shout out just yet. It's payday. All right, Adam. Also saying, ridiculous level of gameness. It most certainly is. I think we're all in awe of everyone. These guys have got it figured out. And I keep saying, Jeff, it's not over, but it's looking more over. Well, there we go. Maybe it's not over. Vlad, Jacks, Rok, ace6, D Pete's ace9. Here we go.
These are pretty big hands, three-handed, especially the Jacks and ace9 suited, obviously. Rok. Interesting spot for David. I mean, we saw him with the ace9 suited before, where he didn't put a lot of pressure. I mean, he's actually at a spot where he is. I mean, both these guys, he has them basically close to the same stack and such a lead. But interesting what he does here as well. I mean, the fact that he just calls here, it's almost like he has like a timing tell on these guys or something, you know? That's like a spot here where it's like, why is he not like there? You could definitely think about jamming, right? Because You just like the guy really shouldn't be calling. You have a good hand, but I mean, it's what do you think?
Yeah, I'm much more on board with this flat. I think you're that bit deeper. 25 blinds and ace-9 suited. We love to have some ace-x when we peel from the big. Vlad's going to blast off into some of our good boards, and this hand seems like a pretty good one to be flanking out the big. But I understand it's not like we're expecting Vlad to. We can't get Vlad to put it in with worse pre. So I think this hand is just too strong to do anything with. I think maybe kick it up with some of the garbage ace-x, but this one we can get trappy with. Sees good action so far. Checks through the queen high, flop, picks up the nut flush draw, checks again, and now sees a bet. Be very happy to call this one. Can still have the best hand and certainly has the best draw.
Oh, hi. Wow.
Well,
it's almost
any
unfair.
5 straight. Yeah, I was going to say, Jeff, I'd quite like to see a lead there. Don't see them often, but with the flush draw getting there and the straight draw getting there, it seems like a good spot for a lead. I mean, I don't know what hands we're supposed to have there. Just 6, I guess, is the weak hands we have. I don't know. I feel like the 6 we're going to turn into a bluff some of the time as well. So, having said that, obviously you want to have some really strong hands when you do check river. Your opponent can still bluff. You can go after your hands like a 6, but I just don't think Vlad gets to bet too many hands there on the river.
Look at this. He's got him down to exactly the 19 blinds each, 20 blinds each on the dot right now, and he's got 100 and change. I mean, this is just
get to start doing the victory jamming. Yeah, you just get to jam.
Yeah, nice hand to do it with too, right? Again, King Jack, obviously a pretty good hand in that spot to be jamming. But look at this pair and ace 4.
We'll be doing it again here. Give him the opportunity. 2 3s, 20 bigs blind on blind.
Rock might just shove. He might just shove us instead of limp. And he did raise. We saw with the jacks like 2.5 or whatever. So I think this is a shove, or he could limp, jam, could shove. What David? It's still a lot. It's kind of a lot of chips to call at 3s because he has them where he's just going to be first in and full in. But
he's not calling 3s, is he? It's not. It's just,
I don't know.
Calling 3s too.
I wouldn't call, but I mean he's tanking.
Yeah, I just don't see him calling 3s. There's just no need. He's got. Well, he has called. Jeff, he has called an ace 4 flop. Rock turns a straight draw.
Wow, he turned open-ended straight flush versus 2 pair, and he makes the flush, but the boat comes in. What a run out! And wow,
pure drama, Jeff. I mean, look, you've got a pair blind on blind. Rock's gonna rock up there with ace deuce sometimes. Pardon the pun, deuces. But I mean, he also has 4s, 5s, 6s, 7s that are just going to open rip, and the rest of the hand of flips. I'm not sure about that one. I mean, the fact D Peters has called means it's obviously right, but
I mean, look at the thing is though, he's going to be flipping like all the time, right? He actually almost found not a flip, right? I guess if you plug in, maybe there's that logic that if he's shoving ace 3 or ace 2 off, right? Because he did shove ace 4 off, but I would actually bet the cutoffs like 5s or 4s there, but. Maybe it's got to be close. That's an interesting one. I'd love to ask David about that one. I would love to check on that. Now, listen, he's still got a huge lead, but if somehow he doesn't end up finishing this off, I think you wonder if you go back to that and say, did he need to call off in a spot where he's going to be able to just jink up pots, get folds, not have to take close spots? Obviously, it shows you also maybe a bit about what he believes on these guys' game, that they're very tough opponents, or that Rock is, right? That he's trying to finish them off, and that, possibly. But I would just love to hear his thought process and also see his sort of chart, right? Like what his calling range consists of in that spot in particular.
Yeah, I'm a little thrown by that one. I think you've got this much control of the table. Making a, it's not. I mean, it's just what we can. He can have ace deuce. He can have ace 3. He can have deuces. The rest of it is flips and 4s through 7s, probably like I say, maybe even 8s decide to open jam. Bigger pairs fitting into some of that raised call-offs, or limp jams, whatever. I'm not sold on that one, but like I say, I'm not gonna say I'm right and David Peters is wrong, because David Peters has got $36 million in cashes, and I'm sat here watching him play poker. Quite honestly, there's a reason we're in our respective seats. These two, though, battling out with a couple of ace highs. A calm pot for the moment, Jeff. 2 ace highs, limp pot, 1 bet, 1 blind. You know, how poker sometimes is.
Yeah. And Vlad is now in third. Rok is going to double basically his stack. So things have shifted. Rok has found his way into, again, we talk about big jumps here. $200,000 came in as the chip leader. David in second. I'm not sure. I think Rok was kind of bunched in, right? There was sort of the 1-2 and then kind of bunched and then 2 shorter stacks. But yeah, this is anyone's game still. Vlad now looking out in the short seat. He is the shortest at the moment. Still plenty of play left, and we do see a check call. 9 million in the pot. Both they have position. This is where position is so important, right? This is a potentially just a chop, but maybe Rok can find forced folds. So let's go for the check, and they're going to split that one.
Well, guys, Peters is marching, but first big backward step, giving someone like Rok a chance. Who we got, chat? Who we got? I know we got a lot of D Peters fans in there. Those watching yesterday, I know, will be Vlad fans, because he really did give it a go yesterday. And as always, be plenty of Rok fans. I'm a Rok fan, Jeff. Like I say, having watched so much from last year in that high roller club. To me, was unknown at that point, and really just laid the law down on the best high roller players on the planet. Hurricane Higgins asking, when did Vlad win a WPT? I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago. Look here. Where is it? I'll find it for you. Yeah, it was WPT Vienna back in March 2016. Won that bad boy. And then went to the WPT Tournament Champions just a month later, when it was in there was a couple of years, Jeff, wasn't there, when it was in Florida. And he
whoa, look at this.
Second place there. Oh, Jeff, here we go. Vlad Darie's going to need an ace. I mean,
wow.
Rok's got to go for this, right? It's a rip, I think, and if DP somehow has it, then so be it. You can still come second as long as Vlad doesn't win the pot. So here we go. 8 on the flop. Spade on the turn. Wow.
Wow, man, we need
never easy.
The band-aids. I want to slow that down a little. That's so fast, man. It's so intense. Wow. It's down to heads up. Look at this. That was.
It's never easy,
man.
Yeah.
No,
it's never easy. These runouts have been absurd. Rok flopped top 2 a minute ago, had a massive sweat. Now he flops a set, has a massive sweat. Thankfully for him, holds at both times. Vlad Darie, a man who stole my heart a little bit yesterday, finishing in 3rd place, picking up $453,000. But here we go. Perhaps the match that this tournament deserves. No disservice to the rest, but the 2 most accomplished players on this final table now battling it out for the title. It's D Peters starting with a near enough 2-1 lead over Rok Gostisa. Here we go, Jeff.
Here it is, and I mean, Rok gets the double and then the knockout. So David, who was in commanding lead, is, you know, he's got the lead, but not by a ton. Still healthy, but he look at this, the 10-6 off float from Mr. Peters. With the club, I guess he could, you know, rep some clubs. He can rep some straights. But what do you think about the 10 high flat float? Not in my book.
Beats, man. Doesn't want to, never wants to give up.
And I'm sure this is part of his plan. He's got a...
If you're going to call with 10 high with a 10 of clubs and you get to the river still with 10 high, it feels like the time to bluff.
This is intense, man. But like, the thing is, would he check raise a flush draw? No, but look at this. I mean, just impressive.
Yeah, love it. Not surprised to see. We're going to see some fun pots between these two. Heads up. Guys, still 1 minute left to register for this free roll. Please quickly head over to WPT, pardon me, to the Party Poker. Register WPT WOC free roll. Password is 5 millions guaranteed at the top of your screen there. Get in the mix quickly. $500 being given out. Gotta be in it to win it. And, well, this is just one hell of a final table, Jeff. And these guys playing out for what, 300k and a WPT title. I think fair to say there'll be unlikely to be a deal between these two. Both used to playing at high stakes and probably both think they've got an edge.
Do you think they have an edge? Like, do you think? I mean, do you think they both think they're better than the other? I mean, maybe. I guess that's how poker works, right? At the highest level, you just think you are. I mean, you're down to the final two, so maybe so. But I don't know. I would think they maybe have some mutual respect too, amongst them. Although like this is one buy-in for the Super High Roller Bowl coming up at the start in Vegas. So,
they might not think the other's a fish, Jeff, but I think they probably both think they've done the work that will get them in the edge, and they probably just want to win it. And who knows? I'm guessing they don't have too much crossover. These two, I don't know how often they've hung out in real life. So I don't know. I feel like the deals in the high roll seems to be some. You kind of need specific pairings of players, should we say, to do deals. You know, people who are actually quite friendly away from the table. Maybe don't necessarily want to beat their good friends, but with the title on the line as well, I'm sure these guys are just going to play it out. And I mean, that's worth a lot as well to these guys, Jeff. Getting to play. Well, first of all, getting your name on the trophy, but also getting to play in the Tournament of Champions. It's a 15k buy-in event that's restricted field every year, and it is as crazy as it sounds to those listening. You know, like the Tournament of Champions, even though it's a Tournament of WPT Champions, isn't necessarily the toughest 15k in the world, because so many of the world's top players can't play in it because they haven't won full-field WPT events. It's quite hard to get in, so it's a good tournament to get into if you can. And they'll both want a chance to play that every year.
For sure. Yeah, I was actually wondering if that did count. There's a big pot here, 35 million in the middle. No one really with much. Ace 4, bottom pair, and Rok has a perfect blocker to the Jack 9, the Ace Jack, and no diamond in his hand either. Maybe just is mandatory go for it, and there it is. He does rip it in. Rip it in, Jack high, WPT 300k on the line. David Peters could click call and it's over. He could click call and it's over. He also has no diamond in his hand. And I mean, you can see the wheels are spinning, but this would just be too much, wouldn't it? He can't. This would be too much. This would be too much, man. All right. He wanted to. He thought about it. Wow.
Well, all right. We're evening up, Jeff. We're evening up. Rok close to 100 million. No one else in this tournament has been close to 100 million yet, other than D. Peters. But Rok Gostisa closing in on that mark. Yeah, that would have been a pretty absurd way for this tournament to end, wouldn't it? If you just heroed it off with the
That would have been too much. Yeah. That would have been too much. I was going to call David and say, look, I'm married, I have a child, but I want to just live near you and shadow you. I want to know everything you're doing at every moment. This is too much. Like, I've seen great players and great stuff. That would have been too much for me. That would have been a little overwhelming, I think.
I like Adam in the chat. I'd have uninstalled every poker software and thrown my PC out the window if he called there. It would have been, it would have been time to start a new game. All right, here we go, though, Jeff. A much more even heads-up match. This is one I'm looking forward to. Blinds have gone up to 800,000, 1.6 million, but we're very, very deep. So we're going to see some twists and turns along the way, Jeff.
I do want to point out, which is interesting to me, is look at them. They're limping off of these stack sizes. This is not normal. Usually I'm custom this at 10, 15, 20, short stack where they're shoving, but these guys are super deep stack and they're limping the buttons. What do you think that's about? I don't think I've ever seen that.
I guess they're always going to have some limps. I mean, I'm trying to think what was... Well, we'll keep an eye on it, Jeff. See how it goes. Maybe Rok just decides these kind of hands Jack 4 suited. He's just going to be limping in. I imagine we're still going to see a blended strategy of some limping, some raising. These guys will be so... I'm sure they've got such a mix of strategies at all depths, Jeff, that...
Yeah, but I mean, well, fair enough. It's not typical that I've seen ever with limping on these stack depths, but maybe it's just there's a few, there's a select part of the range that they're doing that, and they both just came into some. But
maybe, yeah, that might be the case, but we'll see as it goes, how they do. Again, I mean, they're just suddenly so deep. Yeah, maybe Rok's decided, hey, like I think maybe I got the edge on D-Peters if I keep it small pre. Maybe D-Peters has got the edge on me pre, and if I keep these pots smaller in position, maybe that's how I get him beat. Who knows? No. That we're going to see a limp here. Well, there we go. 10 deuce. Wrong I am.
Wouldn't this be amazing, James, that we have a record fast final table, and then heads up takes 8 hours. Like they limp every hand. They want the trophy so bad. They want the title so bad that no one wants to give up a chip on any street. And we're here for 12 hours more.
It's entirely possible, guys. We're playing it out here for the WPT World Online Championships title. The best part of $1 million. This heads-up match is $300,000, guys. I'll reiterate this. They're near even in chips, and they're two of the best in the world. This has just culminated in a perfect match for those of us sat here watching, and there are thousands of you this evening. It doesn't surprise me, because, like I say, we are watching two of the best. We've watched 9 of the best, in fairness. It's been an amazing final table, and I feel like I do say that a lot when we do these streams, Jeff. It is my job to hype these things up, but as Jeff has said, this has perhaps been the standout one of these online poker finals we've done over the last 2 years in this rather bizarre COVID era. This has been the highlight for me, for sure. We're seeing so much from some of the best in the world. And yeah. Chat, you are bouncing. I say we've been trying to follow. It's been very active on the table, so I'm sure you'll forgive us for maybe not being as engaging as we usually are. But yeah, we're catching a breath, Jeff. Like you say, the limps are occurring. Alien says if this lasts 2 hours, I'll be baffled. Well, here we go. Rok popping up at 8-5. So I wonder if he just found like the Jack 4 suited, he was happy to limp in, doesn't really want to missing a flop with that. 8-5 offsuit, more willing to risk not seeing a flop. Popping this up, D-Pete's calls, flops top pair with a heart on the King 6-3. Bok looking for the free roll. I'm afraid too late for the free roll. The late reg closed a few moments ago. We are playing out for $500. Anyone still in that? 871 left, 664 paid, so guys. So if you're short like me, just hang on. We're not far from the money, guys. Rok stabbing for a little over a blind. And deep eats with top pairs going for value. Check raising the flop. Very strong hand. Top pair jack kicker in heads up play. Remember, guys, of course, if you have missed out on the free roll, there are always chances to get involved here. Sport buff is the way forward. Reach into the top right-hand corner of your screen. Find the widget, click Start Now, and we can track your answers when those questions appear on screen. Every hour we give away $11 tickets to be used on Party Poker, of course. D. Peters also raising up here, Jeff. So we're just going to see like a mix of strategy, obviously, with different hand strengths. And once more, D. Peters flops strong, Jeff. Top and bottom this time. Your old missionary, I think, is your one for that. You didn't want to steal your joke, Jeff. I saw your face and I saw the flop and I had to do it. I'll never do it again.
You're allowed. You can do that anytime you want. We're witnessing a very special event. That is the last hand sent us in a break. I mean, this has gone fast, but we're deep. We're going to see some high caliber IQ poker right here, guys. So stay tuned, and we'll finish off for a winner when we come back.
Here we go. A stack in the last hour alone. Action on Radisson. 7-3. Not enough for him. See Joao very short
Joao
still.
is waiting for his hand.
You know, he avoided one with the King 3. Nico, 16 big blinds in the cutoff. Queen, Jack, offsuit.
Yeah, there's a lot of options here. But I think he's a bit waiting for the big money. But maybe he learned from the 10-10.
Yeah, we have seen him take some very aggressive options in this tournament. Wow,
Aces with the aces.
Here it is.
Oh,
Philip has a big smile on his face with his little swap. He sees Izzy questioning how much the bet is with the aces. Of course, Ricky behind. Trying to get...
Isildo with the aces. He does some Hollywood here. A little bit of Hollywood from the Swede.
And Nico's thin jam. Looks like it might well get punished here. And Isildo wall moving over the top. Nico hoping to see a hand like tens, but it is aces. So Nico at risk. Isildur won with aces. 105 million chips in the pot. Nico will need a lot of help here. He will leave us in 8th place. And Isildur will climb right back into 2nd place.
14%. That's a bit much, huh?
14%.
Maybe with the card out. 40% now. Let's see.
Jack 6 deuce, so he does flop a pair. Won't mind that flop.
Stays alive. Roughly the same percentage. 18% here to hit a queen or jack.
The turn is a 9. One more card for Nico or his tournament will finish. He needs a queen or a jack to outdraw Isildur's aces. The river card. A king. It was a picture card. You'd have to say that, but it was the king. So Isildur climbed up to 185,000, and Nico, aka I'm the boss, leaves us in 8th place, collecting 70,000 euros for his efforts. Bingo flop for Phil. Jack 9 of hearts gives him a gut shot straight flush draw. Michael, 2nd pair and a gut shot draw himself on a board that, wow, he's just moved it in.
A pair and a gut shot.
A pair and a gut shot. Well, you're ahead, but you're a big underdog. Phil Ivey with a myriad of outs. 70% to get there in this pot. Not the hand Michael wanted to see when he was called. He'd take his chances against a big pair, but not against those 14 outs.
Did no heart. Yeah, that. Same.
Oh, Jack on the turn. He's halfway there, and it is now a straight flip.
Huh?
Phil, so close the other day. Needs this to have a chance to win this title. There it is. Nut flush on the end.
He hit flush.
Welcome back, one and all, to this, the WPT World Online Championships main event final table. Well, myself and Jeff still here, but only two of our finalists remain. It is heads up time. It is D. Peters leading the way with Rok Gostisa, Jeff, trying to claw him back.
Yeah, David, one, I guess if you could say a misstep maybe was the threes, you know, when he had complete control called off there, likely flipping. But you know, that would be, in my mind, what it would be a misstep, but maybe that's just a trivial call or close. But I got to believe it's super close, right? There's no question it's close.
Yeah.
Just wonder if that's would be perceived as a mistake or, you know, just totally fine given the situation. Again, it's not a knockout tournament, and he had both the players basically, you know, pigeoned to the same thing and being first in so powerful there. So that would be the one of the key hands so far of the match that would stand out for me.
Yeah, I was with you there. Interesting to note here, Jeff. Obviously, we saw Rok doing some limping, some raising. Limped in here with the ace-king. So, obviously, something to note for you guys watching. Going to be balanced. You can't just be limping in with what is Jack 4 suited and stuff like that, and then raising his good hands. Here he is, limping in with ace-king. He bet when check 2 for 1 blind, and now D. Peters has led the turn for 1 blind. And look at this. Rok raising up the turn with the nut ace high, so really targeting a hand exactly like this. He's going after the 4x. He's going after some of the draws as well, of course. And wow, spikes the ace on the river that counterfeits D. Peters' kicker, obviously. So he's going to win this pot, and he's going to win a sizable pot as well, Jeff, because the ace is gin for David Peters. Or so he thinks. Right.
Super interesting. I would have loved to see on some other cards what Rok does. I mean, this is interesting too, right? But there's a lot of, I guess, clubs he's going to follow through. I think part of it with limping, it's very, very, very interesting line here on the river. But now, I mean, what a card for him too. What a spot. Ridiculous river.
And he's gone pot, so he's gonna have the chip lead, Jeff. Peters can't do anything but cool, and there you go. Rok Gostisa sneaks ahead by the thinnest of margins. We have a new chip leader. Well. How it can all change so quickly. Guys, what are we watching? David Peters running away with this final table. Gostisa has played flawlessly. Here he is. Now with the lead, heads up against his high roller regular. They're playing it out. Peters ace 10 on jack 9, 8. Things are looking okay there. I hope you guys watching are enjoying. I'm seeing Hodzi in the chat saying, I'm not going to lie, I've never played poker and don't know what I'm looking at. Well, you've chosen the right one to tune in, my friend. These guys are playing at the highest level the game can be played at, let me tell you. But I'm glad you've stumbled across the channel if that's the case. And please do head on over to Party Poker, check it out. Plenty of resources to help you get started. But I will say that take a few steps to reach these guys' level. You can see they're guaranteed $660,000 a piece, playing out for $960, so a $300K match they're playing right now with near equal chips. This is, I mean, for most mortals, Jeff, this would be quite nervy, playing a $300,000 match, but for these two, they're kind of used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, big money jump, big opportunity. More importantly, I think again at this level, they're both for a 5K. Got to remember 5K buy-in. They do play 100Ks, 25Ks, 50Ks, even bigger. So when you score for 300 or 600, 900, it's huge, but it's relative buy-ins. This is a ridiculous amount of buy-ins for the tournament. But at this point, the ROI is insane. But of course, they want to get their name on that trophy, to get a WPT title, be able to play a tournament champions on the Sexton Cup, and taking down a main event. Both of these players want to add to their impressive resumes. So, money big, but both players want a lot for the buy-in. Now it's time to get the title. And that's all that's really, that's what's going on. And Rok has found his way into the chip lead all of a sudden, or just about tied with Peter. So anyone's match, really, really even at this point.
Certainly is. Could still go either way. Could be a long one, could be a quick one. We just don't know with these two players at the helm. No knows. Whoever wins, it will be a fitting champion. And we'll get to have their name etched on that trophy. And let me tell you as well, if this was the final Mike Sexton was watching, Jeff, he would have been even more animated than us. He would have loved this one. I know that. He would have been very impressed in all the plays we've seen so far on this final table. Seen so much, earlier on we saw Vlad like 4-bet jamming when three-handed, risking it all. Saw Bruno just ratcheting it up. We saw Talal wanting to get involved, risk it all, and potentially bust out early. Philipp start to spin it up and then have the coldest of decks, running kings into aces. These two, as they often do, have separated themselves from the pack. DP's popping up ace king suited on the button.
Yeah, and Talal got a little bit unlucky with that ace queen to ace nine suited. I mean, that was a big spot where the flush flopped and he got knocked out. He would have been fairly healthy there if he could have held ace queen to ace nine suited. Instead, he did get knocked out, and we saw 2 double knockout. That was a big moment for the tournament to get down to 5-handed, and things started to go pretty quick from there. So. Yeah, that was another nice performance. Everyone at the final table, world class, really, really impressive. And just gonna see, it's a matter of who gets it done here now, who gets to finish off and get the cherry, the icing on the cake of this already massive return. Really is a ridiculous payout, absolutely massive payout here for this event. Well over the guarantee as well, smashing it almost 6 million and the 5 million guarantee. So really great result.
Yeah, what a turnaround it's been for Dave Peters with 10 left yesterday. One of the shortest cooling off for his fun on 9 big blinds, doubling up through Fabian Quos, then doubling up again with Jacks 3-4s, then finishing Fabian off, spiking a flush draw against top pair to bring a big stack into this final table. Still was only second in chips, but quickly bolted up the leaderboard and really has taken control of this one. Worry to close it out would be quite the few levels, because, well, we came into this final at 400k, 800k. We've only doubled the blind so far. We're down to 2. It's been remarkably fast up to now. For those wondering, no deal has been done as far as we're aware, and I don't expect to see one done with these two. Like Jeff says, they're not averse to playing for these huge amounts of money, playing the higher rolls that they do, 25ks, 100ks. As you say, Jeff, this is potentially just a buy-in for the Super High Roller Bowl coming up, right? They could just got 660 locked up, plus I'm playing for that 300k buy-in and a title, and maybe that's how they think about it.
Yeah. All right, we see, again, both players missing, which is a common theme. You're going to miss the flop the majority of the time in hold'em. That's why bluffing is so important, because you just don't connect with boards. You don't even connect with draws so much of the time. So being able to win pots without hands is a big part of the game. And this is something both these players are definitely aware of and do. And fun to watch heads up, right, to see how they are able to play. I don't know, who do you think would have more heads up, maybe experience? I would imagine at this level and in this game, especially in a lot of these like higher roll, bigger buy-in, smaller field sizes, it's way more important, right? Because those you're going to be heads up way more often, and it's just so valuable, that different jump. So I would imagine they've both done fairly extensive work, but you never know. Some people just do more than others. Just like free throws in the NBA, you would think every NBA player would just shoot free throws all day long and be able to shoot 90% like Mike McDonald. That's what you would think, but there's guys that shoot 60% or 55%, and they just don't do it. They don't do the work, or they whatever, or they just don't have it. So it's it's the same kind of thing, right? It's just you hone your craft, and it's you never know who's doing exactly what.
Yeah, I'd say David Peters probably has the most experience, but not all that experience would be relevant because he's been around for a long time, like you and I, and stuff that was learned in playing heads up eons ago, not so relevant. So yeah, it's just a question of who's more up to date on trends, and whether these two feel like they've got a way of exploiting each other. Well, here we go. Rok's going to exploit Peters because Peters bluffing the river. Rok's backdoored into 2-pair on this Queen 7 deuce. And fires it upstairs. David Peters slipping below 100 million for the first time in a long time.
Very interesting that again, he makes a pretty high up 2-pair right on the board, and I maybe just figuring that it's unlikely that Peters actually has a flush, how the hand played out, but still does. I think that's one of those things that noticing today, the spots like the queens, even when the ace rivers, we saw early value against the hand where Peters had 8-10 off, and it was 3-3. 10 turn ace, and it was check river checked, and he bet the queens, and spots like that where maybe you just call, even like, oh, I might not get called by worse. You see the Rok going there, right, with a strong 2-pair, relatively speaking, and heads up. But maybe some people, you might just think, well, I have 2-pair, I probably don't get called by much worse, and just call. It's interesting to see all the spots where the players, go for edges, go for thin value, and it's just fun to watch. I don't want to take my eyes off. I don't want to do anything else because I'm just every single hand. I'm like, this is interesting. This is exciting. Wow, what are they doing? I feel like I'm like, wait, I know what I would do. I think this is right, and then I'll see them do something. I'm like, well, I'm just not going to guess right now because they're playing on a different stratosphere. So really exciting, and I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, Peter Stabbin here, going to get some bad news down the streets here. Rok with the nut flush draw and an ace high. Any two will do in the chat, saying hard to see what Peters would call there that's worse. This is the thing, guys. You're watching these two play heads up. They're both going to be so delicately balanced that there's going to be all sorts of bluffs. They can throw in all these spots. So Rok raising there with this 2-pair can definitely get called by worse. Let me tell you, there's also some combos that David Peters would call with. Any king with a club, I'm sure would be one of them, for example. But any 2-pair, of course, as well. Rok check calls this flop, turns an ace just to make this one a little easier. Interesting to see if Peters decides to follow through. He does. He overbets, Jeff. Wow. Just going after those. It just goes off, doesn't it, Jeff? If you're in here, if Rok's got like the jack or queen or king of clubs, can't really continue. If he's got a pair with nothing else, if he's got jack 8 of spades, it's just what are you supposed to do to this? You can't continue. Unfortunately for Peters, he's done it into exactly the hand that will continue. Which is ace 4 with the ace of clubs.
It's actually one of the. I mean, this is not in one of the greater cards for Rok. I mean, he hit basically one of the dream turns, and he ends up getting a huge bet from Peters. Now Peters though does hit some showdown and got called on the turn. It has to be the alarm bells going off, but he does just check relatively quickly. And
I think once you've bet that big on the turn, Jeff, and been called, it's like Rok's range is now so strong that I don't think we really want to follow up with another bluff. It's so unlikely to work. There'll be some combos, and I mean that's one of them where Rok's got the ace of clubs alone. It's kind of the weakest hand you can have there, I think. So nice play by Peters just to give up. Even if against that particular hand it may have worked. But look at this. Now, 2-1 lead, Jeff, the other way. Gostisa snuck ahead, now gallops ahead.
Yeah, I mean that ace king to ace 4, ace on the river, pot size bet as well. That was a massive card. I mean, there weren't a lot of hands where he was going to be able to get value, get paid. He probably had his, he had some some ill intentions on certain cards where he would bluff, but he did hit the gin of gin cards, the ace, literally, to get paid, to get called, to win, have the winner.
Yeah.
And it was just the absolute nut scenario.
Not only is it a get there card, but it's a it's a get there and get paid card, which is the best kind of card. And maybe due a little luck. I mean, taking nothing away from David Peters, but he's had a pretty smooth ride in this far table, up to bringing a big lead into the heads up. So it's only natural that occasionally things will go against you, but still plenty of play. Like I say, 2-1 down, but 2-1 down in heads up. Well, you're 2 hands from winning, Jeff, and you point your 2-1 down in heads up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it happens fast.
Here. This may just check all the way down. He's got queen high. Rok with a king on this ace king 4-4 jack board. Limp pot. I'd expect this to check down. Not the best card for Peters to see on the river at jack. Yeah, Rok may have been trying to check down some jack highs. Okay, look at this. He's going for pot size value. Just trying to get something out of a jack. Maybe even out of a hand like this queen high.
Or queen high, yeah. I mean, if you think about it from David's perspective, he's probably not betting a jack. So what did he check all the way down and then bet? So yeah, good fold though.
Not falling for it though. Yeah. And all these pots are relevant. I know obviously you guys are playing very deep and we're seeing some really huge pots go off, but all these little skirmishes, Jeff, there's 2 big blinds in the pot and he bets 2 blinds on the river. It's all relevant. These little scraps all mean something. Limp from Rok. David Peters taken upstairs with king 10. I don't think what could be. I don't know. It's jack 10.
It's a big bet. This is a
yeah. 5 blinds. It does stick around, and well, here we go. David Peters flops top 2. Rok with second pair on a rainbow board, and it's a board where Peters is expected, I guess, to fire off on Jeff, and for that reason, he's going to counter betting here with top 2.
Yeah, nothing Rok's going to do other than call here. It's just flops. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of worse flops for Jack 10 if you're going to peel. You get a position mid pair. You do outflop a decent amount of David's hands, and he is going to go to a turn. 24 in the middle. This is a big pot as well. David's sort of letting things we're slipping away a little, but he's got a hammer lock here. He has 100% unless somehow he were to fold, which I don't see folding top 2 in a heads-up match, especially not in this, depending on if somehow they get to a river. There could be some. He does slip it over to Rok with a little trickeration here. I like it. I mean, Rok's got to like to see that he's slowing down when he had a modest spot, but I also, this he's not going to accomplish. I think David's going to get him to bluff sometimes some floats, but on a hand like this, a jack 10, just kind of enough showdown, right, where I would imagine he's going to check here, but he does get the bet from Rok, so executed nicely. Now it's a matter of what do you do at top 2? Do you slip rope? Do you just call? The board's super wet, right? Jack, queen. There's some gut shot draws. There's hearts. You do have a heart in your hand, though. I don't know. I mean, this is a huge pot. All of a sudden.
Yeah, this is always just call. Just a call. You gotta give your man a chance. I mean, you block everything with the king 10, don't you? You've got to let him go. Yeah. And Rok obviously not bluffing up in this spot. Just had a 10. Gonna have to check this one down now. There's like a little bit of. You could get a little value and a little bit of protection with that bet on the turn. Brought himself a showdown, but here we go. Evens things up a little bit more. Peters closing back in on a milli. It's almost, it's a good thing for Rok's sake that he actually had a 10 there, because there were some hands that would have to blast off down the river, and Peters was ready to catch the punt. All right, Peters popping up 10-7 of clubs on the button. Rok going to stick around with queen 10, that's for sure. And this time flops good on the ace, queen, deuce. Couple of spades. Rok with the 10 of spades. It's more. Could see Well, I expect to see something out of David Peters, having opened this one up and see an ace-queen board in favour of the razor. Albeit, of course, the range is so much closer between button and big blind when you're playing heads up. But quarter pot, here we go. Rock going nowhere, of course, with the second pair and a spade. And it's probably going to be the last chips that go into this pot. I'm going out on a limb there, Jeff, and saying this one shuts down after here. I can't see boards where I can't see turns where David Peters is going to want to fire again. Perhaps maybe a king. But
yeah.
Even more so.
Yeah,
now.
This is a no equity bluff, and you get called here. 12 million mil may just say bye to this pot, but listen, you said David Peters doesn't like to give up. You just don't know. Is there ever a double barrel? Try to get, although when you get called here, right? Yeah, on this turn too. Like, what is not going to shake much? And as you said, likely goes check down.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw. Did you catch wind of the 1K final table, the mini main event? I mean, it got, I think, 1,600 entries. Crazy final with players. I see Barry Hutter took down the $257 million first prize just now, and Jory Ruiz took second. I know Anton Wig was there. Also, Yao Ferreira, Anatoly Filatov in 10th, Ben Raleigh 11-10. Tuan Navis is Fabio Sterling. I mean, it was Yurosov, really for us, Jaka, crazy talented.
Nice. I saw the Peters does stab the river when the jack rolls off and gets picked off by rocks. There we go. It's gonna be one of those cards, a king or a jack, were the ones that Peters may try and bluff, and it didn't work out. Yeah, I saw Barry came today second in chips, but I forgot to check on it. So nice to see he's taken that one down. Like you say, some big names. We saw Laszlo Molnar, who came 7th there in something earlier this series, may even been the main event yesterday. And Alex Theologist, I think, who came 8th. Pretty sure he was on one of the WPT 500 farm tables as well. So a good series for him, that's for sure. There was the WPT 500 not knockout edition. I think there were 3 Alexes on the final. I believe he was one of them. So a good little run for him, a good series. This is the final event of the series, of course, guys. This is it after this for WPT World Online Championships, but Millions North Cyprus kicks off this weekend. Well, our coverage begins Monday right here. It's going to be a fun one. We've got 6 streams, I believe, to bring for you guys. The warm-up, the high roller, day 3 high roller final, and then day 2, 3, and the final of the main event. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see the pain on people's faces again, Jeff. You know, like you see these aces versus kings all in on a final table like that. I want to see the pain of the man with the 2 kings. You know, I want to see the joy from the man with the 2 aces. I'm a sicko. Let's say.
It has been a while. It's gonna be fun. I mean, playing a live tournament. It's going to be. What do you think the turnout will be like? It's a little bit hard to anticipate, I think, but the guarantees are there. Party's putting it on, and big 3 million for the 5K main event. So it's going to be, should be healthy. I mean, people are ready to play live. I saw that in the U.S. at the Hard Rock. The WPT set a record 2,500. So barring who knows what might happen, I think that's it's safe to say that people are going to come out. I would guess, but we just don't know till we know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it should do pretty well. I think it being that little bit close to the start of the series there may be some people, Jeff, I think that with the restrictions of traveling to the US who are determined to play the World Series have to be in a place for a couple of weeks beforehand, so they may think, look, Cyprus is just a little too close. I'd rather be in Mexico or something. They can play online for 2 weeks before and get themselves set up for the series. But on the flip of that, there's a lot of people who just aren't going to bother jumping through all those hoops, who will be itching to play a live event in Europe, and a massive one like the Poker Millions. So be curious to see. I'd be confident that it will be a really high turnout. And it's worth noting for anyone watching, wondering, I believe there are some ways, of course, if you were to travel through from North Cyprus straight back through Turkey, I think, and then to the US. That allows you to get into the US. Obviously, if you were to cross the border in Cyprus back to the south, then you would have to start your 2 weeks again. It's all rather... there's some hoops, but I believe it is possible to do both Millions North Cyprus and go straight to the World Series afterwards. Well, I mean, you're doing it, Jeff, so...
Wait.
Well, as an American, it's different rules for you, but, you know...
Okay. Yeah, that's... Okay, interesting. So that's, I was going to say, I hope I didn't realize if that's the case, if you have to spend 2 weeks, but as American,
it's different for you.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's different for you. Obviously, if you have residency rights in the US, it's different, but as us visitors, there are some hoops. But I'm pretty sure I saw Manek is coming, and he was talking about it. He goes, yeah, you got to fly from Erkan back to Istanbul and straight into thingy from there. So, someone like Manek isn't going to get it wrong. It's his job to be in the right place at the right time for the right tournament, so it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we see that people going to both. Yes. Wow, Peter's popping up with the 8-5. Nice. Slowed a little. Couldn't keep going the way they were going. Trading barbs, but Rok with an ace. Flats. And we see 6-6-9. Gut shot for Peters.
Yeah. If you're going to open 8-5 off, definitely in gut position. It's definitely not a bad flop for you. All the right reasons to bet here. You want to take it down. You have a gut shot, and he does go for 25% pots.
Yeah, we've seen this a lot from DPs. These quarter pot bets on these boards where the big blind has so many give ups, like the 6-6-9. Like the big blind's got Jack 4 suited. What they're going to do? They're going to give up. So no reason to bet big. And with a hand like 8-5 on 6-6-9, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to double barrel. With gut shot, you're still keeping some ace highs, some king highs. You're going to want to knock off some of those hands that have got decent backdoor draws. Although this 10 does work against them. Hands like 10 Jack of Spades, for example, or Queen 10 of Clubs would stick around that flop potentially now have improved. Doesn't mean you can't double barrel. As you see here, Peters does and goes bigger. So if you're now going after those hands that maybe pick up some heart equity, try and get them out of there. Some of those that maybe now have a gut shot and don't really be calling 3/4 out of position. And of course, those ace highs like that have to go in the bin. Nicely done from David Peters. It's always something you've got to pay attention to, guys, when you're going for you're betting multiple streets down the line. So D. Peters bets small on the flop, so you get out some garbage, but you keep a lot of weak hands in, so that allows you to now go double barrel. If you go big, like we saw earlier when Peters went big on the turn on that ace of clubs hand that Rok Gostisa had, you've got to be aware that you've gone big, which means you've knocked out all the kind of not very strong hands. So now when you're bluffing rivers, you're bluffing into a pretty tight range. So you've got to have it be credible, and you've got to have it so some of those big hands will still fold. It's not a case of just, I saw David Peters bet flop and bet turn, so therefore I'm just going to do that all the time. You've got to adjust by the sizes you've come out with. Well, blind's going up 1 mil, 2 mil, and look at this, Jeff. The first hand at the new level, pair on pair. This could be it. This could well be it. 45 blinds for David Peters and 2 6s. Rok Gostisa with 2 10s. It all depends on Peters. Gostisa's going to pop this one up. Does Peters just decide to rifle this in, Jeff? It's entirely plausible.
I mean, could. It's definitely, heads up. It's a pair. It's a decent pair. And also, I think he realizes that, Rok can play some poker. He's not dealing with the slouch here. But 20 million, cagey bet, big bet.
This almost makes it that Peters has to rip. I mean, you can't call her, I don't think 15, have a pot of 40, or be in position 70 behind, whereas you can rip here and just pick this up so often, and if you're wrong, you're in a flip a lot. I think his hands are tied. Okay, he has... Oh, wow. David Peters, how's your day going? He's called there to Jeff get it in on a lot of flops. The 4, 5, 6 flop is one he's going to be happy to do it with. Unlucky, Rok. This is
Well, he would still have some chips, and he rips it. And Dave's got top set. He's gonna snap this off. Be a big favorite.
Wow, incredible!
Oh.
What?
Set over set,
the
flat
name.
top set, rivers, the set. I mean, what just happened? What just happened? What was that hand? Unbelievable. Your champion of the Mike Sexton's Champions Cup is Rok.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. He hit a ridiculous run out to take down the David Peters. Unbelievable scenes right there. Wow. That is quite a finish. 300K river. I mean,
I can't quite fathom what we've just seen there. I cannot believe that Rok Gostisa has found that 10 on the end. Stacks are about to switch around. David Peters was about to have a 2-1 lead, chasing down this title, and like you say, the right to have his name etched on that trophy. But instead, Rok finds the 10, finds the miracle on the end, and David Peters, well, brutally unlucky. But 660,000, Jeff. Obviously, it softens the blow somewhat. Rok Gostisa, though, he will not believe his luck spiking that 10, will he?
Wow. Listen, David, it shows David's his confidence in his game. He takes a flop there. I think you could argue, as you said, rip it in, but he does see a flop, gets top set, gets it in as a massive favorite when the majority of the money goes in, and you can't blame Rok for calling, and then the cards fall as they fall, and that was all she wrote. I mean, it's a justifiable way to finish this final table. I think this is one records. It was the most memorable I've seen. It was just all around a great final table, and to end on a hand like that, I think that's just fitting. And again, David Peters, what a score, what a performance, so many great plays all around, and congrats to all the people who made the final table. And we'll be seeing you in Cyprus, right, for some live action now. It's time for the live street. So what a treat, what a series, and really enjoyed this. So thank you for having me, and then we'll catch a beer in Cyprus.
We most certainly will. Thanks, Jeff, so much for coming in and doing the final table this evening. And thanks again to yesterday, Tyler Patterson, pulling the long shift, bringing us down to the final table. And, of course, Ike Haxton, who dropped some knowledge on us yesterday. But that is it for the WPT World Online Championships. And what a finish it has been. Rok Gostisa, the champion by the dirtiest of means. The 2 out on the river. David Peters, I'm sure he'll bounce back. But as Jeff says, it's not far till Cyprus. Thanks to all of you for tuning in throughout this entire series. And, of course, the mods for helping out in the chat, as always. And, of course, our wonderful production team. But we will be back very soon. In fact, just got to wait till Monday for the Millions North Cyprus Open final day. So, guys, we'll see you then. And until next Monday, best of luck.